Dear brothers and sisters, I hope that you're all doing well by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we all know, our semesters have started and we are all busy with our university work. We oftentimes forget about what's equally just as important, that's our spiritual knowledge, which will not only guide us for this world, but also in the hereafter. And for that exact reason, we have our Sheikh Sajad Ahmad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's good to have you, Sheikh. The topic that our Sheikh will be inciting us is seeking Islamic knowledge and balancing the worldly life. Sheikh knows about this topic more than I do, that's why I'll let Sheikh do all the talkings about this topic. Let's give a brief introduction of our Sheikh. Sheikh has a very rich academic background in sociology and anthropology. Sheikh is also a lecturer, researcher, and co-editor of academic works, along with his linguistic versatility in English, Arabic, Urdu, and Kashmiri. Not only that, Sheikh has also made a significant contribution to academic research, publishing international journals on topics ranging from social views of Ibn Khaldun to bioethical consideration of organ transplant from a Shari'ah perspective. In addition to his academic achievement, Sheikh is a Wushu national gold medalist, a multinational Taekwondo, Wushu, and Karate champion. Sheikh is making us look bad at this point. Inshallah. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to pass the mic to Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Here's your mic.
جزاكم الله تعالى خيرا. إن الحمد لله وحده الصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وبعد. قال الله عز وجل: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. وقال في موضع آخر: قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون. وقال عز وجل في مقام آخر: إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء. وقال عز وجل: والذين أوتوا العلم درجات. وقال النبي صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم: طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والتسليم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and His countless blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. First of all, I'm thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He provided an opportunity for me to share some of my views about a specific topic that has been given to me. And then I'm also thankful to the organizers who are having this keen interest that we can strike a balance in our life of dunya and life of akhirah. And then I also extend my gratitude to the participants that you have come here. It means it is a sign of your keenness and eagerness to learn about the deen. And let me tell you that it is one of the signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you all. As Allah's Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, "Man yuridillahu bihi khayra." Whomever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes to do good, yufaqihu fi d-din. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants him understanding of deen. In order to achieve the understanding of deen, there are certain means of understanding of deen. And this is one of the you can say primary steps towards acquiring the knowledge and towards understanding of deen. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this talk beneficial for me, beneficial for you, and beneficial for all ummah. And whatever disaster, whatever evil is in it, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us and all of the ummah from it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the right path. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this session beneficial for us so that we can strike a balance in our life in terms of being dutiful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also offer our significant contribution to the mankind. As a Muslim, we all believe that the basic source of knowledge, it is Quran. And the first verse, which was revealed to the Prophet, peace be upon him, it was Surah Al-Alaq, the first 5 verses of Surah Al-Alaq. And I'm sure that all of us, inshallah, memorize this Surah Al-Alaq. So it starts with, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قل اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. When we find out in the light of the Sahih al-Bukhari, Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned about this specific event that happened in the cave of Hira. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was there. It's Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam, he came and he said, Iqra. And the words we get from the Sahih al-Bukhari, Prophet, peace be upon him, said, Ma ana biqari. Many translators, they say this specific expression of hadith that I cannot read. That's how they put it. Ma ana biqari. When Jibreel alayhi salam said, Iqra, Prophet said, Ma ana biqari, so it is translated as, I cannot read. Though this is a fact that Prophet, peace be upon him, was an ummi, unlettered, that he was not able to read or recite, as Allah says at another place in the Quran, Ma kunta tadri mal kitab wal iman. So Prophet was not able to read or write. This is the fact. But the issue here is when Jibreel alayhi salam said, Iqra, Prophet denied. So my understanding of this specific part of hadith is that Prophet did not say, I cannot read, because this was already known to Jibreel alayhi salam. When Prophet said, Ma ana biqari, he said, I'm not going to read. There's a huge difference between I cannot read or I'm not going to read. The hadith also said, Jibreel alayhi salam, second time, he said, Iqra. Prophet again said, Ma ana biqari, I'm not going to read. And third time, Jibreel alayhi salam said, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Hereupon Prophet recited. So the basic notion which is now being floated, that Prophet said, I cannot read, so I don't find any sort of tenability with this specific translation. So Prophet said, I'm not going to read. Why? The basic reason is the purpose of knowledge. And in technical parlance, we call it epistemological discussion, is that there's a purpose of knowledge. When Jibreel said Iqra, it was an open-ended concept of knowledge. Why to read? What's the basic essence or what's the basic motivation behind reading this? Why to read? But when Jibreel alayhi salam connected it to Rabb, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. So it means that there's a deep relationship between knowledge and cognizance of God. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. And then خلق الإنسان من علق. When we talk about Islam, it means deen, and deen means a complete way of life. And complete way of when any deen or any religion or any philosophy or any doctrine claims to be a complete way of life, it necessarily has to answer three important segments. Whenever any doctrine, philosophy, religion, denomination, sect, or cult claims to be deen, then it has to answer three important basic questions. First, epistemology. Second, ontology. And third, cosmology. These are three important existential questions that every doctrine, philosophy, deen, religion, whoever we need a complete way of life. And in these first 5 verses of Surah Al-Alaq, all the three fundamental aspects of knowledge are discussed. The first part, Iqra, refers to epistemology. So our epistemology is not knowledge for the sake of knowledge, knowledge for the sake of belly, knowledge for the sake of stomach. Right now, all over the world, the main concept of knowledge is just, if I ask you a question, why are you here in this university? Instant question, don't give any thought to it. I ask you instant question, I need instant answers, okay? It's interactive session. Without giving any thought to it, I ask you that why are you here in this university? Okay, yes. Without giving thought, just instantly, extemporary answer I want to study. And why to study? Why to study? Mm. Okay, you are studying here, then after this, right away, you will be giving the opportunity to have access to the living? No. First of all, you need a degree first. So you are here to get a degree, isn't it? So your basic purpose here is to get a degree. And if I ask you second question, why do you get a degree? Simple answer. No philosophy, no imagination behind it. To get a job. There's a fundamental philosophy of knowledge right now all over the world, including our own international Islamic university. This is the biggest catastrophe with the knowledge present day. Is a malaise that Ummah is facing right now. That we don't have the clear concept of knowledge. If it is only Iqra, then we can study any damn thing. There is no any restriction. There are no any conditions. There are only rules and regulations. They're all set aside. That's why Prophet ﷺ denied, he declined to recite the verse. And he said, "Ma ana biqari," I'm not going to recite. I'm not going to read. Because Prophet ﷺ was all aware about the concept. Because in Sahih al-Bukhari, there's another narration which says that Prophet, peace be upon him, كان يتحنث في الغار. كان يتحنث في الغار. This authentic hadith by Imam al-Bukhari. The Prophet used to worship in the cave before he announced it to be Prophet. But tahannus, the word tahannus it usually is translated as worship. But the question arises here that there was no wahyu, there was no command on the part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then how Prophet used to worship? There are many commentaries on Sahih al-Bukhari. One of the best of course, is Fath al-Bari by Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. There is another important sharah, another important commentary on Sahih al-Bukhari, that is Allama Badruddin Aini rahimahullah ta'ala. Umdatul Qari Sharh Sahih al-Bukhari. Imam Badruddin al-Aini rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions, he comments on this part of the hadith, when yatahannathu fil ghar, the Prophet used to worship in the cave. The question arises that what sort of worship it was? And he said, al-shukr wal-i'tibar. Tahannus ay ma'nahu al-fikru wal-i'tibar. This tahannus refers to this contemplation, regular, strict and rigorous contemplation, how to reform the society, how to address these evils of the society, how to establish the scales of justice, because the whole society was based on injustice. Immorality was quite rampant into the society. So how to address these evils of the society? The Prophet used to think about it. That's how Allama Badruddin Aini rahimahullah puts it, كَانَ يَتَحَنَّثُ فِي الْغَارِ, that he used to think about it. So he had the idea about reforming the society. He was thinking about it. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَوَجِدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. That he was in search of these means and methods. How can he get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can he reform the society? The basic important thing is that knowledge, it must have a specific purpose. If it is purposeless knowledge, then it will serve only the belly and nothing else. That's what is happening now on the surface of the planet. Almost all parts of the world have the same concept of knowledge. You go to a university, you go to a college, you go to any school to get a degree. Why to get a degree? To get a job. Simple. That's the funda. That's the only thing, that's the only motivation that drives us, that motivates us to spend a huge amount of time, spend huge wealth. And then at the end of the day, we have to get one single page that enables us that how we can feed our belly. So Quran, any deen, any thought, any discipline, any religion which claims to be deen, it must first of all address the basic concept of epistemology. So what's the basic purpose of knowledge? And then it should. The second important thing is about this huge universe which is around us. Once upon a time, I had a discussion with an atheist. Rather, he was a radical skeptic. So we were discussing about the existence of God. He said, God doesn't exist. I said, okay, I restart my discussion. Since the discussion about the existence of God, I say God exists, you say God doesn't exist. It means that there's a difference of opinion between us. So we're not sailing in the same boat. We have two different opinions about this specific concept. So let me start with a discussion that we both agree. Whether God exists or not is a debatable issue. I believe in it, you don't believe in it. So let me start a discussion from such a point that you and he said, yes, that seems to be quite logical. I said, do you think that this universe exists? He took a pause. Okay, I thought, okay, I should calm down. Do you think that that there was table? He was in front of me. I tapped the table. Do you think that this table exists? Again, he took a pause. Now I tapped his shoulder. I said, do you think that you exist? And you know what was his answer? I doubt. Then I said, I cannot talk to you because at the end of the talk, he said, I doubt whether we talk upon certain topic or not. So why should I consume energy with a person that who doesn't know what he's doing? So what I mean to say is that this universe, even the atheists who deny the existence of God cannot deny the existence of this universe. This is a cosmology. This cosmic order, how did it come into being? It's a fundamental question. That's a cosmological question. Any thought, any religion, any denomination, cult, or philosophy, if it doesn't address that one of the huge and massive, colossal question that how this universe came into being, then it means that it is just simply a random thought which arose at certain point of time and which will vanish with the passage of time. That's why we find out there are plethora of thoughts, there are plethora of perspectives, perceptions, ideologies, but with the passage of time, they vanish into thin air because they lack this fundamental position to define at the satisfactory level what is its concept is about this huge, massive, and colossal universe. So Quran addressed this, "Iqra bismi rabbik," in the name of your Lord. Who is your Lord? Allah. The whole universe which is in front of you, it did not came up of its. It's not just the grisly and ghastly dance of the atoms and ions and the buoyant energy that put it all together. The way it has been structured, the way it has been the way it has been designed. It is generally impossible for any reasonable person to accept that this universe came of its own. That's why Auguste Comte is one of the founding fathers of modern Western thought. He said, of all theologians, atheist is most irrational. Why? Because when we study this universe, it's not possible that all these things happen, just a series of chances happen, and then this beautiful universe come into being. The tremendous amount of knowledge and the tremendous amount of power that has been utilized in the construction of this universe doesn't allow us to think, okay, apparently seems that there are certain natural laws that hold this universe together. But when we go deep study these natural laws, then we find out there's a tremendous amount of calculations. And even these calculations have to be precisely accurate. There should be no any probabilistic error. Ernest Heisenberg is considered to be one of the founding fathers of modern physics. He says that the first gulp, the first sip from the glass of natural sciences will make you an atheist. If you just study the science, physics, specifically the physics one, the first gulp from the glass of natural sciences, if you study the natural sciences, applied sciences superficially, it appears that everything happens of its own. That's what he says. The first gulp from the glass of natural sciences will make you an atheist. That's what happening now, right now. And all these apparent things are being promoted and given a proper footage in the media and then promulgated among the youth, and it causes many doubts about the existence of God. That's what Richard Dawkins is doing right now, and Sam Harris and all his group. And then Heisenberg says that the first girl from the glass of natural science will make you an atheist. At the bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you. But at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you. Because it is easy to say that there is no God, but it is damn impossible to prove that there is no God. We can easily say, adjusting here on a sofa, I can say there is no God. It doesn't take much calories to consume. It is damn impossible to prove that there is no God. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. The first verse, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Iqra, you read. Prophet said, I'm not going to read. And repeatedly when Jibreel Islam said, read in the name of your Lord. Second time, no. Third time he said, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. The first answer to the question about the cosmology. how this universe came into being. There's a Khaliq, there's a creator, sustainer, designer of this universe. And خلق الإنسان. Another important question, that is, who am I? There are 8 billion people living on the planet. If you talk about our physiology, it is same. Cell biology, it is all the same. Our anatomy, it is all the same. There's no difference at all. The cells I do have, you have the same cells, though there's a difference in the DNA order. But as far as the cell structure is concerned, it is all the same. Our anatomy is same, our physiology is same, with variation in our colors, the sizes, or the shape of the tissues in our organs. That is only morphology. But if we see essentially, we're all same. But who am I? Who brought me to existence? It is just the mythology of evolutionary theory. Charles Robert Darwin, he floated a myth, and that was proved as a scientific fact, unfortunately. The myth was proved as a scientific fact that we are our ancestors are the apes. That the biggest ever life on the planet, that we are from the apes and monkeys. The biggest ever question, who am I? And Quran answered, and how I came into this universe. The second verse addresses ontology, the study of self, the study of being. Who am I? The biggest ever question. In Indian subcontinent, there's a very famous poet, and some people adore him and take him to the level of God, na'udhu billahi ta'ala, because of the tremendous prevalence of still there. He's known to be as Bule Shah. And if you see his poetry, sometimes some of his poems are charged with the Tawheed and his devotion and his adoration to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's mentioned about him. One day he went to see his teacher, so he knocked at the door. Usually, if anybody knocks at the door, how do we respond? Who is there? Isn't it? The teacher said, who is there? And Bule Shah answered, that's what I have come to know. Who am I? That's what I want to know. Who am I? I cannot say I, because this I is a big question for me. Recognize myself. Junaid al-Baghdadi said, rahimahullah ta'ala, man arafa nafsahu, faqad arafa rabbahu. Whoever recognizes himself, he recognizes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what Allah says in the Quran. سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. So in the afaq, in the horizons, there are tremendous amount of signs that leads us to the existence of God. There's a true essence of knowledge. I talk it, inshallah, later on, the purpose of knowledge. So the second important issue, if any entity claims to be being, it must address the ontology, which is directly related to the existence of a human being. We have a combination of these muscles and bones and organs and blood and flesh moving around with a will, with a free will and free choice. So did it come of its own, or there is some creator of it? So Quran addresses it. Iqra khalaqa al-insan. Khalaqa al-insana min alaq. It takes us to the biological period, to the state of embryo. And now modern embryology now confirms. You might have gone through the Prophet Yasgur's statements about embryology, how Islam is accurate about these specific stages of our embryo, these embryological stages. So خلق الإنسان من علق. So we are the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather the cream of creation and the crown of creation. If you imagine, just imagine that this whole world is a stage, and there are many characters. There's a poem also, All the World is a Stage by Shakespeare. Then he mentioned different stages of life. A beautiful poem, rather. So imagine that in this whole universe, one single character is taken out as a human being. Just you take out one single character, human being. You imagine about a world without human being. What will happen? What sort of universe we can conceive of? We can imagine about. Just close your eyes, if not the naked eyes, then your imaginary eyes. Just think there's no human being on the planet. So what sort of universe? Can we think of any Petronas towers? Can we think about these universities? Can we think about this all material development? So this human being is a cream of creation, crown of creation. Is by virtue of human being, this universe gets the meaning. And how this cream of creation came into being? That's an important thing to deal with. And there's a domain enough ontology. And Quranic, you see, the Ijazul Quran, the miraculousness of Quran is that the saga of knowledge, the huge vistas of knowledge are put together in small verses. It only needs one's intellectual aptitude to understand at what level Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about that particular issue and specific issue. If you see khalaq al insan, two words. Khalaq insan is a noun. Okay. Min alaq, jar and majroor. Four words, just four words. But you know these four words, it encompasses the ocean of knowledge. Khalaq al insana min alaq. Second important issue is that is to be addressed and answered is ontology. The first one is epistemology. About what? About the universe. That is cosmology. And that then again about the human existence. The last time I had a discussion here in Malaysia with a Chinese doctor. He was brought up in a Buddhist background family, but now, as per him, he was an atheist. I asked him, what motivates you to be atheist? But it seems to be quite absurd to be atheist in the science and technology. It is absurd to think that one can be atheist. So he said he doesn't believe in God. He cited the arguments, which don't think that they are worth discussed about, because most of the people they are social failures. They don't get they don't get succeed in the worldly life. Then they put the burden of it upon the God. He made me answer, so that means that he doesn't care about me. So it means he doesn't exist at all. And then simple question about ontology. Simple question I posed to him. I said, the probable population around 8 billion people, isn't it? Our physiology is same, our anatomy is same. There's no difference at all at the anatomical level and physiological level. The morphology is different, but as far as the basic essentials are concerned of our human bodily existence, so our anatomy is same, our physiology is same. But what differs is our morphology. But tell me one thing: 8 billion people living on the planet, and all 8 billion people, our retina is different. And the difference is within meters. What will be the size of the pupil? Very difficult to say. It's a small size. And in this small size, you know how many patterns are drawn? Different, diverse 8 billion patterns. La ilaha illallah. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who can do this. Tremendous amount of knowledge. Nowadays, we have a concept of biometric attendance, isn't it? We just stand up in front of the camera, it captures your retina. And no two retina are identical. In the twins that are born from the same mother, from the same womb, the twins even have different retina. Why so? Our races, okay, in a race, there are hundreds and thousands of people in one single race, in one single nation. But even the two twins which are born from the same womb of the mother, they do have the different retina. Why so? Why we don't have the identical retina as we have all our anatomy is identical, our physiology is identical, and it's only our morphology that differs. But what the important thing is, why is our retina different? And then Bala qadirina ala an nusarmiya banana. Our fingerprints. No two people have similar fingerprints. Why so? This ontology. Discussing about me, who am I, my existence, the basic essential components of my existence. Okay, we are 2 billion Muslims, okay, in one group. But within these 2 billion, there are 2 billion patterns, 2 billion Christians, okay, a handful of atheists all over the world. There are not so many people, a handful of, but they have access to the media, but it seems, okay, they are quite, there's a good number of such people. But essentially, if you look around, there are a handful of people. But each and every one, irrespective of the faith we subscribe to, our retinas are different. Why so? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold us responsible individually for each and every act we do. And for this, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا. It has to be established at certain place. That there must be an individual character of a person which has been established and maintained and to the highest level of procedure, so that I should not be held responsible for the sins of others. That's why in Christianity, the concept of atonement is called irrational, and illogical. Why should God hold me responsible for the evils of others? وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. No bearer of burden shall bear the burden of others. There's a clear rule in the Quran. What I do, I'm responsible of I'm accountable for all my acts and deeds. And this is part of ontology. So these are three important essential questions that any religion, any who claims to be deen, I mean to say deen. So if it is any ideology, perspective, perception, denomination, sect, anything, if it doesn't address these fundamental questions, then it means that it will vanish into thin air with the passage of time. Maybe after a few decades, people won't be knowing about it. That's why we have plethora of philosophies in the past. Deep is the well of the past. They are and they are buried under the heaps of the past. The only thing, beauty of Islam is that there is a coherence among all these fundamental elements, starting from ontological order to the cosmic order, and then gives us a complete code of life, code of conduct, in a beautiful form of epistemology. So it means now I just conclude this one. And in order to perceive who am I, what this universe is, who created this, what is the essential thing we need for this? What is the essential tool we need for this? I hope you are getting my point. To understand my existence, understand the world around me, what is the basic essential tool, primary tool that will help me to understand knowledge, true. And sorry, but any disposition, okay. Hmm. Do you think that animals have the innate disposition? Please don't think that I'm going to just asking you many questions to you just to make you think about these basic important. So what is a tool for the contemplation? So we have to think. Okay, there's a mind, there's a brain, isn't it? Our reason. So it's a reason that enables us to think about us, think about the world around us. There's a beautiful quotation by John Locke. John Locke was he's considered to be one of the founding fathers, also one of the founding fathers of the modern West. John Locke. He said, God has not been so sparing to men to create them barely two-legged creatures and left to Aristotle to make them rational. Let me repeat it again. God has not been so sparing. God is not so niggardly and so bakhil. God is not so sparing, not so miser. God is not so sparing to create barely a two-legged creature, me, you, and all the people that He created us. God is not so sparing to create barely a two-legged creature and left it to Aristotle to make him rational. Are you getting the point? So Allah has given the reason to each and everyone, isn't it? The basic amount of reason is given to all. Even the Immanuel Kant, he says that this is a universal element. Reason has been given to one and all, irrespective of their subscriptions to the ideas and ideologies. So Allah has given us a reason. And this reason is enough for a certain level to make us understand who am I, or to understand the world around me. And this is a fundamental discussion. I want to trigger this discussion. Why? Because once the basic premise is clear to us, then it is very easy for It is easy for us to understand the basic purpose of knowledge. The mess we have right now in the name of knowledge is a mess. Is based on all material tendencies and accomplishments and nothing else. The whole spectrum of knowledge is based on these. As I said, it's connected to the belly of a person. Later on, I just classify the knowledge, the classification of knowledge, inshallah, there I discuss it elaborate it more. So, so Allah has blessed us with the reason. And now, do you think the animals also have the reason? They don't have the reason. Sure. Do the animals have the reason? Okay, those who say yes, there is a hand. 1, 2, 3. Most of the sisters, and among the brothers, only 2, 3. So they do have the reason. Animals do have the reason, but their reason is always overpowered and subjugated by their instincts. The reason is employed for their biological needs. The animals have the biological need. So they live in a specific fixative circle, which is governed by their instincts and their senses. The sense of hunger, sense of thirst, and sense of sex. These are the only 3 things that govern the animal kingdom. It's for this they do exist for themselves. But for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's a specific cause behind the creation of every creation. So they have the reason, but their reason is overpowered by their instincts. Sometimes we say in Islam that the, the, the common notion is that the woman is having the lesser reason than the man. Actually, it's not. She's not having the lesser reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given reason in equal proportion to one and all. It's the actualization of the reason which matters. How I employ my reason. That's how the great scientists come into being. It's the actualization of reason. You have the stuff, but it depends how you harness this stuff, how you utilize your stuff. So animals do have, but they are not able to make huge contributions. Why? There are reasons because of their physiology. Their physiology don't allow them, and more importantly, their intellectual capability, their intellectual propensity, because their life is fixative within the biological needs. It's the only human beings who are blessed with the amazing capability of reasoning and thinking. And this reasoning and this intellectual activity is specific to human beings. That's why human being is a creation by virtue of knowledge. Biologically, we are known as Homo, means Homo sapiens. Okay, rough translation, if you don't have the exact translation, rough understanding of Homo sapiens is man capable of thinking, a rational being. Okay, we have this capability by virtue of which we are set apart from all the creations. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. And the best of form is by virtue of his. Otherwise, if the reason is taken out, we have many lunatics, we have many, what you call the crazy people we have. Those who are not able to use their senses. It's Allah's will. So you can see there is no difference between the animals and them. They are governed by their biological structure, biological needs, organic needs, and nothing else. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us. And that's the significance of knowledge. Significance of knowledge we can understand from there is only the human being who's able to understand all of these things, who's able to give meaning to this universe, who's able to recognize his own purpose of life. Animals, they have nothing to do with this. They have been created in a fixative manner, in a fixative circle, so they cannot cross their limits. You will never see a bunch of cows protesting outside the White House that our rights are undermined. They have been living in the luxury apartments, and I am in that cow shed since millennia together. So I want something new. If you're talking about a changing world, a development, why we are in the same cow shed? So you will never find out because their life is fixative. It is governed by only biological needs. We do have the biological needs, but more importantly, we have the intellectual needs. Allah has blessed with the intellect, and that the beauty of intellect lies in the knowledge. So significance knowledge we can understand from here, we are the best of all creation. It's not by virtue of our physical structure. Then they are massive animals than us. It is not by virtue of our strength. We go to the gym and there we develop the muscles. Then there are many ferocious and more stronger animals than us, isn't it? So if we are the cream and crown of creation is by virtue of knowledge. That's why the first thing Allah mentioned about the creation of Adam, peace be upon him. What was it? وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah mentions this particularly that وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam, peace be upon him, the name of everything. It means that he was blessed with the knowledge. That's what sets us apart from the other creatures. However, as I said before, being a Muslim, a fundamental question is that it is open-ended knowledge or there must be a specific purpose of the knowledge. Yes, it must fundamentally address my own existence, the existence around me. That's why we need to understand that what are the available tools or sources of knowledge to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us the first basic source or basic tool to understand myself and to understand the world, not at the higher level, at the beginning. When we are born, in nanotology is a discipline of knowledge which deals with the infants, newly born infants. So the discipline of knowledge which deals with it is known as nanotology. Nanotology, when the child is born, I had read this long before in biomechanics. Then when Allah blessed me with my own child, so I was very keen. I was waiting for this moment to see how doctor reacts to the birth of a child. So then the pediatrician was called on. He came and what he did, I was keenly watching. The first thing he did, he checked the sensory activation of the child. He just scratched it here. And what happened? The child jumped like this, wanted to suck it. And then he scratched it down the chin. When he scratched it, and the child instantly and instantaneously he tried to just suck it to see that his senses are intact. How many senses we have? La ilaha illallah is a simple question. How many? It's apparently we have 5, but we have 8 senses. Okay, and senses are divided into 2 parts. One is implicit senses, and second is our explicit senses. As far as implicit senses are concerned, there are 3, and our implicit senses there are 5. Our implicit senses and our explicit senses. And what are our 5 explicit senses? The sense of sight, sense of touch, sense of smell, sense of taste, sense of hearing. So sense of hearing and sense of sight, sense of touch and sense of smell. So 2 into 4. And then what is the 5th one? Sense of touch, the whole body. So is it feel? These are known as explicit senses. Then we have implicit senses. There are 3. They are sense of hunger. Al-Hawas al-Zahira, Al-Hawas al-Batira. In our own Islamic context, we define them. Al-Hawas al-Zahira, 5 explicit senses, Al-Khamsa. And Al-Hawas al-Batina, Al-Thalath. There are 3. Sense of hunger, and sense of thirst, and sense of sex. When child is born, doctor doesn't see his sense of sight, sense of hearing. He checks the sense of feel, sense of touch, because that's what he needs at that point of time. And second important thing is what the child needs is sense of hunger. You imagine if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't bless a child with a sense of hunger, what will happen? The mankind will collapse. La ilaha illallah. The beautiful creation of Hadha khalqullah. Allah says in the Quran, this is my creation. This is my model, my patent model. You show me other than this. When we are born, the most activated sense is the sense of hunger. So if the child doesn't get the milk, they will cry a lot. And imagine if it is set dormant, if it is put to the dormancy, what will happen? The mankind will collapse. It is so much activated at this point of time. And then other senses are at a dormant level. Most importantly, the sense of sex at this level is dormant. It is activated at a higher level. when our body, our tissues, our organs are grown up properly. Imagine if there is the mess of these senses and they develop all of a sudden, everything will collapse. Everything will collapse. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. Now the important question, actually, that's what just got deviated. My question is, when child is he born with the knowledge or without the knowledge? Without the knowledge, yeah? How many says this? With fitra, okay. Very simply, my question is he born with knowledge or without knowledge? Without knowledge. Then how do we interpret the verse فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا? And this was an epistemological discussion among the Western scholars. John Locke said that man is born with a blank slate. When we are born, we don't have any knowledge. It is a society that supplies the data to us, and that gives the shape to our. That's how we construct the reality. Islam is not something that's been created. It is being sent by the Creator to the mankind. So he argued that when man is born, he is born with a blank slate, and this blank slate is simply he called as tabula rasa. Tabula rasa means that we don't have any mental content with us when we are born. But he was opposite by René Descartes. He said we are born with the innate ideas. We are born with the innate ideas. There are certain ideas that are with us when we are born. And what Quran says, Quran addresses both the things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at one place, وَاللَّهُ خَلَقَكُم مِّن بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا. Allah created you in the wombs of your mothers in a way that you were not knowing anything. وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا. That you don't know anything. So those who said he is born with no knowledge, they are correct as far as this verse is concerned. But this is about the knowledge of what is good and what's bad, what is haqq and what is batil, what is truth and what is falsehood. We don't know as far as our birth is concerned. At the level of our birth, we don't know all these things. But at the same time, فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put into, that's infiltrated, that is ingrained, well seated into our deep human nature, our inclination towards good and towards bad. That's the sense we were born with. It's a Sigmund Freud, he challenged this sense. He said there's no such thing. But now the present psychoanalysis has established this thing now. We are born with a moral sense. Recent discoveries in the psychoanalysis, specifically the Paul Bloom is one of the famous psychologists, American psychologists. He gave a strong blow to the Freudian theory. He said that we are born with a blank slate because he supplemented the thought of John Locke. So, however, Quran gives a proper balanced approach. It says that we are born, as far as the existential value is concerned, we don't have knowledge of the truth and the falsehood. We don't have the knowledge of what is good and what's bad. We don't have the knowledge of what is right and what's wrong. We don't have the knowledge of what is correct, what is incorrect. We don't have the knowledge of what is halal and what is haram. That's why we need the prophets. It is for this reason we need the prophets. Otherwise, in order to understand the existence of God, Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah says, rahimahullah, he says, to know the God exists is all rational. That's why the overwhelming majority of the philosophers, thinkers, theorizers, scientists, they believe in the existence of God. Just a handful of them deny the existence of God. Because to know the existence of God is all purely rational thing. However, how to know the will of God? Fundamentally important question. How to have access to what he likes or what he dislikes, what is lawful. Okay? And for this we need another source of knowledge, that is Nubuwwah. There's a beautiful book by Sheikh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah on the subject, Kitabun Nubuwwah. Kitabun Nubuwwah, the book of prophethood. And it's a beautiful and amazing book on the concept of prophethood and messengership, Kitabun Nubuwwah. In this book, Sheikh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah says, he says, فَالْإِيمَانُ بِالنُّبُوَّةِ أَصْلُ النَّجَاةِ وَالسَّعَادَةِ. The belief in prophethood is a basis and foundation of success in salvation. Many people say we believe we submit to the will of God. It's not enough. The more important thing is how to submit his will to the God. What is the way for this? There's only one authentic way, that is Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah says, فَالْإِيمَانِ بِالنُّبُوَّةِ أَصْلُ النَّجَاةِ وَالسَّعَادَةِ. If you want the true salvation and happiness of dunya and of akhirah, then you have to believe in the Prophet. Then he says, فَمَنْ لَمْ يُحَقِّقْ هَذَا الْبَابِ اضْطَرَبَ عَلَيْهِ بَابُ الْهُدَى وَالضَّلَالِ وَلَمْ يُمَيِّزْ بَيْنَ الْحَقِّ وَالْبَاطِلِ وَالْخَطِّ وَالصَّوَابِ. If anyone who is not aware of the Prophet, peace be upon him, anyone who is not aware of the teaching of the Prophet, peace be upon him, فَمَنِ اضْطَرَبَ عَلَيْهِ فَمَنْ لَمْ يُحَقِّقْ هَذَا الْبَابِ, the one who is not aware about this knowledge, then اضْطَرَبَ عَلَيْهِ بَابُ الْهُدَى وَالضَّلَالِ. He will never understand. He will be always confused in what is true and what is false. You will never understand this. That's why you see those who set aside the teachings of the Quran and Hadith will always find them confused minds. They will never get the peace of mind because they have set aside the true knowledge that would bring the satisfaction and consolation to their hearts and minds. So he says, فَمَنْ لَمْ يُحَقِّقْ هَذَا الْبَابِ يَضْطَرَبْ عَلَيْهِ بَابُ الْهُدَى وَالضَّلَالِ. And he will never be able to understand what is truth and what is falsehood. وَلَمْ يُمَيِّزْ بَيْنَ الْحَقِّ وَالْبَاطِلِ. He won't be able to make a distinction between haqq and batil. وَالْخَطِّ وَالصَّوَابِ. What is correct and what is incorrect. He will never be able to do so. So now, just concluding my talk, firstly starting with that knowledge, the substantial knowledge, is the one which addresses three fundamental essentials, that is epistemology, cosmology, and ontology. And then I discuss about the source of knowledge. How we are born, or are we born with the knowledge or without knowledge? We must know that we are born with certain innate ideas. There's no doubt about it. If you go to any part of the world and you say, what's your opinion about honesty? Do you find that there is any person who will say that honesty is not a good thing? The secondary question that people, they misinterpret the things, but as far as the fundamental question is concerned, what is honesty? Is it good or bad? Everybody will say it is good. Killing an innocent human being, is it good or bad? Everybody will say it is bad. Okay? To make a theft, is it good or bad? So this is the innate ideas are there with us. There's no doubt about it. But the important issue is that the knowledge that will guide us to the will of God is not our innate knowledge. The knowledge that will guide us to the what is liked by Allah, what is disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is truth and what's false, what is right and what's wrong, what is haqq and what is batil. For this we need the knowledge of Allah, which is tremendously important. And now, just from a bigger perspective of knowledge, now narrowing down the scope towards importance of knowledge, now to the significance of knowledge of God. All mankind, wallahi, will never get salvation unless and until they get the proper source of knowledge, and that is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Quran and Sunnah. Without the Quran and Sunnah, there will be no peace on the planet. Just jot it down for granted. There will be no peace on planet unless and until people don't practice what Allah sent, His last edition of guidance to all mankind, which was practically shown to us by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Unless and until we don't get back to that knowledge, there will be no success, there will be no sa'ada, there will be no happiness. The whole spectrum of knowledge will revolve around the belly and nothing else. The whole range and dynamics of knowledge will push us towards the material accomplishments and the flawed concept of life. A flawed concept of life. What does it mean? I say a word again. A single word I say, you have to respond instantly without giving any thought to it, without thinking about it. What you subjectively, interpret it and explain it. No, I don't know. I don't want your explanation. I want your instant reaction, not the response. Is it clear? I say one word. Development. What comes to the mind? Development. What comes to mind? Buildings, roads, Nakdamazir roads, towering buildings, isn't it? Hi-fi cars. When you say development, what comes instantly? What comes to the mind? All material aspect of development. We don't deny this. It is a part of the human existence. We don't deny this, but it's a flawed concept. The true concept is our true development is that we get close to God. when we realize our purpose of life on the planet. That's our true development. And this development, it has nothing to do whether you have the material aspects or not. The poorest of all, but the best of all in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who was he? Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala. The poorest of all in terms of these material advancements and developments. Even when he passed away, his shield was mortgaged to a Yahudi. That's what we get from the Sunnah, from our Hadith. When he passed away, his shield was mortgaged to a Yahudi. He borrowed some money from him and he wasn't able to repay at what level. But the most successful in the sight of Allah. Our concepts have been changed because of the concept of knowledge. The knowledge we are being taught is all commercial concept of knowledge. And most unfortunate part is that, okay, in terms of secular knowledge, we can understand this commercialization. Now it is in Islamic studies and Islamic sciences, the commercialization of knowledge. We find many people, they go to the university to get a degree in Islamic, why? To get a degree, why? To get a job. The true concept of knowledge is to know ourselves, to develop a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So do we have some time more for this session? Okay. So we are born with certain capabilities. We have certain innate capabilities. Allah subhanahu the gradual process of knowledge is simply when we are born, we get the knowledge through the senses. How? Our sense of hunger, our implicit al-hassatul batina. Al-hassa al-batina means our implicit sense, which I talked about before. There are 3 implicit senses. So we are born with these senses. So then slowly our senses are developed. The sense of, that's why you see the child, he can lick any damn thing because there's no sense of taste is there but not developed. But at this level, can we taste anything? No, we cannot eat anything. It should be of good taste, then and only then we can have, because now our sense of taste is highly developed because we need it right now. But at that level, the child doesn't, his senses are not too much developed, and his few senses are developed. Firstly, sense of hunger is developed, others are dormant. But with the passage of time, the sense of sight is developed. Now we can see this is black, this is brown, this is blue, this is white. But sense of sight will only just make me to recognize the colors, the sizes and shapes of the things. I can see this classroom. Why this is classroom? What is the purpose of this classroom? This classroom is white. My sense of sight can tell me. It is brown, I can see. It's gray, I can see. But sense of sight, okay, this much data I got from my surroundings. So one source of my knowledge is my sense of sight. Okay? Then they also supply me with the data. Somebody I did not see, I can hear the sound. But what causes the sound, sense of hearing won't tell me. It's a sound which was created, somebody entered and then the door was closed. It created a sound. So I don't have to see it. My sense of hearing just will inform me that there's some sound. But what causes the sound, it is not the job of it. It is helpless there. So there's a boundary for senses. They will work perfectly and properly, but within their own specific sphere. That's a sensory sphere, we call it. It's a dairatul hassa. Within this sensory circle or sphere and domain, it will work properly. The eye will show us exact sizes. As long as the eyesight is not affected. As long as the eyesight is quite sound, so it will show us the proper sizes and shapes of the things. It will show us the proper colors of the things. But how these shapes formed? Why this particular thing is this specific color? It's not the job of the sight. It's not the job of my sense of sight. So when the sensors are, they reach to this apex, they reach to this end, then starts the role of reason. The second domain of our knowledge. When sensory domain is all over and our senses doesn't give more knowledge about it, then starts the domain of reason. So reason is one of the widest branch that helps us to gain the knowledge about our surroundings. And nowadays, the whole knowledge, not the whole, most of the knowledge based on the rational capabilities. Even the so-called scientific method is all based on the reason that only such aspects of universe are realities are accepted that can be observed and that can be experimented. On the basis of observation and experimentation, whatever we get, that holds the water that exists. And it means that out of sight means out of existence for these people. But for us, out of sight doesn't mean out of existence. There are many things we cannot see, but they do exist. Many things they do exist, but we cannot see them. So out of sight doesn't mean out of existence. So coming back to when the sensory domain is all over, then what stops? The reason. And it helps a lot. And the first condition for application of the Sharia after the bulugh, after a person is reached to a maturity of a specific age, the second important condition for the application of Sharia is reason. That's the Prophet ﷺ. Three people are absolved of the Sharia. There will be no application of Sharia upon three types of people. One of them is al-majnoon hatta yufiqa, a lunatic, as long as he recovers his mental capability. As long as he is in a state of lunacy, there will be no application of Sharia upon him. So crazy people, those who are insane people, there is no application of Sharia upon them. So Sharia won't ask him they have to pray, you have to give zakah if they qualify to pay. There will be no demand on the part of Sharia because they lack the first precondition, one of the basic precondition, that is reason. And this is the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses us all. In the Quran, يَتَذَكَّرُ إِنَّمَا يَتَذَكَّرُ أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. At many places, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ يَتَذَكَّرُ التذكر التدبر التفكر التوسم, all these adjectives are refer to the reason. However, as senses have the specific boundary beyond which they cannot work properly, likewise the reason has its own specific boundary beyond which it cannot work. Reason can tell us that God exists. It's by virtue of reason we can learn that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. Because when we reflect upon the creation of this universe, that it is generally impossible to accept this nonsensical, mythical thing that it came of its own. Even now, I had another discussion with another atheist. So we talked about the universe, how it came into being. The moment I asked him, when I asked him, "Do you believe in God?" He said, "No." I said, "And how this universe came into being?" Before I could complete my question, he instantly said, "Big Bang." Is it Big Bang? I said, okay, I have also gone through the theory of Big Bang. What does the Big Bang say? What does it suggest? It was in 1920s, there was a hallmark discovery in the field of physics that we came to know about the evolution of this universe. And so far, that is considered to be one of the established concepts and theories regarding the evolution of this universe. Then I asked him, okay, how? He said, well, this was all a primary nebula, this was all a gaseous wall, then it got ruptured, and the heavens and the earth came into being. So simple. I said, it's not so simple as you put it. There's a rigorous and complicated system that was involved into the creation of this Big Bang. Then I refer to Roger Penrose. You know, Roger Penrose is one of the pioneers on theoretical physics. All of you might have heard about Stephen Hawking, isn't it? Who was he? Who was he? Mhm. His main domain, there's one theory he talked about. So his main domain, what was his main domain? Space. Okay, good. Sorry? There are two types of scientists. One is theoretical scientist, second one is applied scientist. He was not applied scientist, first thing is there. He was a theoretical physicist. And that too in the field of astrophysics. His main domain was astrophysics, and he was a theoretical physicist. At theoretical level, you can conjecture any damn thing. But of course, you might have some substantial arguments for this. So he was a theoretical physicist. So he heard the lecture of Roger Penrose that changed his life, and he decided to make physics as his vocation of life. Roger Penrose is considered to be one of the established authority in theoretical physics. If you want to know about his theories, his bestseller book is The Road to Reality. The Road to Reality book authored by Roger Penrose. There's a chapter in this book I've gone through that is about Big Bang. Now, this Roger Penrose, he is a cosmologist whose main objective is to deal about this cosmos, how this universe came to being. So he's an authority and expert in the subject, isn't it? If I, for example, I say, لو كان في العلم من دون التقى شرف لكان أشرف خلق الله إبليس. I just recited the Arabic stanza, couplet, two stanzas. So who is best authorized to translate this? A physicist, a mathematician, or an English teacher? I said two couplets of Arabic. Who is best authorized to translate this? A physicist, a mathematician, or an English teacher? Azik said no one. Yes, no one. None of them has authority because they're not of the experts of the field. It is an Arabic teacher, that the one who has expertise in the Arabic, he can well translate this, isn't it? Likewise, when we talk about any specific knowledge, so we have to refer to the specific experts. So when we're talking about cosmology, how this universe came to being, so who would be the best person to refer to? It was Roger Penrose. So I discussed with this guy. I said, Roger Penrose, you said this universe came out of Big Bang, and the Big Bang happened on its own. I said, Roger Penrose doesn't accept this argument. Roger Penrose doesn't accept this argument that this universe, this Big Bang happened of its own. And in this chapter on Big Bang is a very, very technical chapter. He says that this primary nebula, he's also a theoretical physicist. This was a primary nebula which encompassed the whole mass of this universe, coupled with the whole energy of this universe. So mass and energy was put together in a primary nebula. And then he said that there were points. We have a balloon. When we blow into the balloon, it expands, isn't it? So at a certain point of time, it stops its expansion. So if we want to just if we want to explode it, so what we have to do? We have to prick it. A simple prick will blow it off, isn't it? Likewise, Roger says when this whole primary nebula out of which this universe came, he says that there were 123. Repeat it again. 10 raised to power 10 raised to power 123. How much is it? Can we count it? Even the supercomputer won't be able to, I think. There's millions and billions and trillions and zillions of points. And Roger Penrose says that the creator spin, use the word creator spin. It was supposed to be hit at a specific point. And he says if the creator spin would have been missed to the tiniest amount, then this huge, beautiful would not have come the way it is. Are you getting my point? There's one single point out of billions and trillions and zillions of points. It was supposed to be hit at, it was supposed to be pricked. And he says if the creator spin would have missed it to the tiniest amount, then the present structure of the universe would not be the way as it is. All deformed, destructured. It is all structured, well structured, with ultimate design, with ultimate precision, because that was only possible when it was supposed to be hit at a specific point. And if that point would have missed out, then the universe would have been all in shambles. Now tell me, what was the probability? There's one single point to be identified among billions and trillions and zillions of points. What was the probability? Is there any mathematical of maths? What is the probability? 0. It is nothing. There's no chance of probability. Totally impossible. Then he said, it's not me, it's what the expert in the subject says. That's the reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with a reason that by virtue of which we can realize and understand that God exists. But it's not enough. Now there are many Abrahamic and so many so stupid things. All one, all religions teach same truth. This is the biggest lie on the planet, that all religions teach same truth. It's the biggest ever lie on the planet. All religions teach Same truth. Does reason accept it? Judaism says two gods. Christianity says three gods. Hinduism, how many? Millions of gods and goddesses. And Islam says, so it means that a person says 2 plus 2 makes 4, other says 2 plus 2 makes 7, other one says 2 plus 2 makes 10. Oh, all are good, all are correct, all are perfect. It is illogical to accept. So reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with the reason. But this reason will only lead us to the existence of God. But how to know, how to get to know about His will, how He's pleased with, how He's displeased with, what is the criteria with Him to grant the salvation and success. What is the reason, what is the criterion for a person to be declared unsuccessful? So failure and success, what are the criterion for this? So it means that reason has a specific limits. That's why after the reason, we need another source of knowledge, which is a broader source of knowledge, and that is al-wahyu, that is revelation. And revelation comprises of two important ambits, Quran and Sunnah. Some people say that these are two sources of Islamic law. So I have a bit reservation with this classification. I say they are twin sources of Islamic law. They're not two sources, they are rather twin sources of Islamic law. Wherever Allah says Atiullah, then Allah says Wa'atiur Rasul sallallahu ta'ala. So Quran and Sunnah together. When we say Quran, it naturally implies the Sunnah as well. But the other people who think themselves to be very smart, but they are foolish, the dunce of extreme level, they call themselves Quranistas. That we rely on because it's the only authentic source of knowledge. And who established that this is the authentic source of knowledge? Those who related the hadith to us. Are you getting the point? Those who relate hadith to us, it is these people who said this is the Quran. When they say this hadith is authentic, then what stops us? Okay, I take from you, this is authentic, I take this Quran. You say this authentic hadith, I don't take this from you. This is not authentic source of knowledge. These are satanic traps and nothing else. So the ultimate thing, in conclusion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with the knowledge. We are the cream and crown of creation. And why we are cream and crown of creation? By virtue of knowledge. It is by virtue of knowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated our status. The first ever thing Allah taught Adam, peace be upon him, that was knowledge. And now, just talking about this knowledge, the whole concept of knowledge, okay, then there are certain domains, there are certain tools and sources, starting from the senses to the reason and then to the revelation. So it means now, if we truly want the success of dunya and of akhirah, there's no way but to accept the only authentic source of knowledge, that is Quran. Out of plethora of knowledge, there are many disciplines of knowledge. If we truly want a compact, a complete, and exhaustive and comprehensive concept of success, we can never achieve it by setting aside the concept of Quran, because that is the only knowledge that comes from God. That's the only source that will tell us how our God is pleased with us. So this is the first part. In the second half, inshallah, there's another important discussion which is connected to the first part of the talk. In the first part, we understood the significance of knowledge. We understood the different sources and tools of knowledge. We understood the three important aspects that the knowledge has to address. And that is, yes, epistemology and cosmology and ontology. And on the basis of this, we can say that this constitutes to be a deen, a complete way of life, because it will tell us now what is to be done all through our life, right from the cradle to the death, and from the grave to the resurrection, and from resurrection to the ultimate point, and that is either inshallah Jannah, and or may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, or Jahannam, because there are only two destinations in life, only two destinations. And how to get to Jannah? There's only one way. There's only one path. There is only one route that goes to the Jannah, the path of Quran and Sunnah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man salaka tariqa yaltamisu fihi ilma yabtaghi bihi wajh Allah." Whoever adopts a path in which he seeks the knowledge. And what is the purpose of knowledge? يبتغي به وجه الله, they want to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. سهل الله له طريقا إلى الجنة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make his way to Jannah quite easier. So from this hadith, you can understand path of knowledge is path of Jannah. Path of knowledge is path of Jannah. But is it open-ended concept of knowledge? No, not at all. The whole discussion is about it. It's not open-ended concept of knowledge. It's just knowledge of Quran and Sunnah, properly Quran and Sunnah, that will take a person to the Jannah. Is a path of Islam, is a path of Islamic sciences, and is a path of al-ulum al-islamiyya, al-ulum al-shar'iyyah, that will lead a person towards ultimate success. So this is the first part, and then inshallah we are going to talk about some important issues. We will have a short break for the salah, and then there is some refreshments as well, if I'm not mistaken. And then inshallah the second session will start at 4:30, inshallah. 4:30, we will start our second session, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanakallah bihamdihi. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. I tried my top level best to make it as easy as possible, given the notion that they are mostly undergrads. So, but I'm not sure how far I was successful in making myself too actual level. If there was some misdelivery on my part, I'm really sorry for this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. قال اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his countless blessings be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. So picking up the thread from our previous session, so we have talked about the significance of knowledge in its totality. And then we also come across with the essential part of the knowledge that guarantees our success in dunya and in the akhirah. And that I discussed that it is solely from the Quran and Sunnah that we get the true concept of knowledge, true concept of success. Now, before I move forward, a simple question, an instant question, an instant answer I want from you. When we say knowledge, how do we define knowledge? What is the definition of knowledge? Because before we want to achieve something, we must know what it is all about. So what is the definition of knowledge? Even if it is wrong, no worries. Familiarity with the subject, but then it's a subjective thinking, because we are familiar with many things. So I may be familiar with the thing that other person may not be familiar the way I am. Information about a specific, but information may be right or wrong. Understanding. That's a classification of knowledge. I'm not talking about the classification of knowledge. I'm talking about specifically definition of knowledge. What does the word, the stuff knowledge stand for? العلم. ما هو تعريف العلم?
Having the correct information of a specific
By definition, it's العلم إدراك الشيء ما هو عليه إدراكا جازما. إدراك الشيء, cognizance of a particular thing. إدراك الشيء على ما هو عليه, the way it is. You have a cognizance, you have a knowledge, you have the you have the cognizance of a particular thing, ala ma huwa alayhi, the way it is. But this cognizance must be idrakan jazima, with full certainty. For example, I ask you, who is the president of America right now? There can be answer. It's okay. It's obviously Donald Trump. Okay, so everybody knows about it. So is this the answer? So it means that by definition, it's not ilm. By definition, because it is idraku shay, knowing a particular thing, cognizance of a particular thing, ala ma huwa alay, the way it is. But what sort of cognizance? What sort of knowing? Idrakan jazima, with full certainty. That's some substance of definition of knowledge, that we know about a particular thing, that we must know it with certainty, the way it is. 2 plus 2 makes 4. No one can say 2 plus 2 makes 5. Though there are certain mathematical equations, we can prove damnably that 2 plus 2 makes 5. But as far as the generic theme of mathematics is concerned, we can never prove that 2 plus 2 makes 5. So it means idrak and jazima, when we have certainty about a particular thing, and that certainty the way it is. So when I say who is a president of USA, and the answer is it is Donald Trump, it's not the knowledge. Rather, this is jahal. This means ignorance. And when we are certain about it, and then jahal is also 2 forms, jahal murakkab, and jahal basit, and jahal murattab. Simple ignorance and complex ignorance. Simple ignorance, simply, if I ask you, okay, who is the Prime Minister of Malaysia? I don't know. This is jahal, ignorance, but simple ignorance. A person expresses inability of this piece of knowledge, that he doesn't have the access to this piece of knowledge, to this bit of knowledge. So a person says, I don't know, this is jahal basit. Then there is jahal murakkab, which is complex ignorance. What is it? Who is the Prime Minister of Malaysia? We know Narendra Modi is the President of Malaysia, and everybody knows about it. And a person says this in a way as if is a dire truth. So he thinks with himself that he has the knowledge, but it's altogether upside down. So when we say knowledge, which means that idrakan jazima, one of the essential element of definition is that there must be complete certainty. Means there is no scope for uncertainty. You see, the beauty of the Quran, it starts from ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ. That there's no least an iota of doubt into it. Why? Because doubt, wherever doubt arises, whenever doubt surfaces, then the first outcome of the doubt will be confusion. Confused minds, which we have right now, because there is no proper source of knowledge. Had there been a proper source of knowledge, because a proper source of knowledge and a definitive knowledge, it will never create any sort of confusion. Rather, its main objective is to bring comfort and solace in the heart, peace in the mind. It will never create any sort of confusion. It means that any piece of knowledge, any bit of knowledge that creates confusions doesn't come into the category of knowledge, because it must be with full certainty. And based on the previous section, when we talk about the sources of this absolute and definitive knowledge, which is beyond any doubt, there is no iota of doubt into it. First form is Quran and Sunnah, as I discussed before. 4 sources: Quran, Sunnah, then Ijma, and Qiyas. These are the 4 sources of our knowledge, authentic sources of our knowledge. We may put and we may base and we may found our thought and thinking upon this basic structure of source of knowledge. So this is also known as primary sources of Islam. Our primary source of Islam is Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, and Ijtihad, or this is also known as Qiyas. But that Qiyas is under the purview and framework of the first 3, Kitab Sunnah wal Ijma, Sahaba, our early generations. Whatever they decide for the Ummah, it holds the water for us, and it is a source of law for us. It's a source of thought for us. So this is the basic premises. So coming from the significance of knowledge, now we are going to the absolute form of knowledge, definitive form of knowledge. And that definitive form of knowledge is undoubtedly Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, and Ijtihad. These are 4. And this forms the foundation of Islam. Or simply, if I say the main, almost 80% of the Ummah follows this basic structure. And then there are misled. So because they differ us with these sources. When we talk about the authentic source of Islam, these are 4. And our difference with other misled and deviated sects is because of they differ in these 4 sources. So some people say it's only Quran and Sunnah. But by Sunnah, they mean a few Sunnah, a bunch of Sunnah. And some people, they accept, okay, we accept the Sunnah of Abu Bakr and Umar, but not of Usman and Ali. And the other people, we accept the Sunnah of only Ahlul Bayt, not the Sunnah of 4 Khulafa, 3 Khulafa. So what we mean, that this is a basic source of knowledge, that from here we get a true form of knowledge, true source of knowledge. And in order to achieve this knowledge, we make utmost efforts, because herein lies our success. The trajectory of our success and failure is determined by this source of knowledge. So once we get familiar with this thing, once we are clear about it, yes, from the significance of knowledge now is the significance of seeking knowledge. What sort of knowledge we are supposed to seek? Is it every damn thing we are supposed to go through? Yes, at a higher level, we can read any damn thing, but as far as our success and failure is concerned, as I discussed before, regarding the concept of God, regarding the existence of God, we don't have to just delve deep into the different disciplines of knowledge. Rather, it's enough for us to reflect upon the creation of this universe, to contemplate how this universe has been created. So it is easy for us to understand, but how to get to access, to know the will of the Creator, that's very important. And for this, there's only one source, that is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So for us, for the nations before, they were prophets. So it is the door of Nubuwwah. I repeat again the statement of Sheikh Sajad. He said that al-iman bin nubuwwat aslu najat wa sa'ada. So belief in prophethood is a foundation of success and happiness, sa'ada, overall comprehensive concept of happiness. A true happiness can never be materialized, it can never be achieved by sidelining the concept of nubuwah. Al-Iman bin nubuwah النجاة والسعادة فمن لم يحقق هذا الباب اضطرب عليه باب الهدى والضلال. Whoever is not familiar with the concept of nubuwah, with the concept of messengership of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, اضطرب عليه باب الهدى والضلال. He will be always confused, and he will never understand what is Bab al-Huda, what is guidance, what is misguidance, what's right and what's wrong. Bab al-Huda wal-Dalal, وَلَمْ يُمَيِّزْ بَيْنَ الْحَقِّ وَالْبَاطِلِ وَالْخَطِّ وَالصَّوَابِ. He will never be able to make a distinction between truth and falsehood. And then you will see people saying, okay, all this is truth. As I said, it's the biggest ever lie on the planet. Because the source is not clear. The source is not altogether perfect. It's a perfect source of knowledge that breeds a perfect amal, perfect etiqad, sihtul etiqad, soundness of being subservient to the source of knowledge. If you have proper source of knowledge, a perfect source of knowledge, pure source of knowledge, it will breed the pure source of aqidah, the pure source of amal, pure source of ihsan. So important strands of the knowledge. So we focus on this part, and it is this part that matters also. It's not only that the conceptual part. Yes, conceptual part must be sound, but this conceptual part needs to be translated into practice. If you have a tremendous amount of knowledge, but it is not translated into practice, then it's all in vain. And for this, we must know the virtues and excellence of this specific form of knowledge that is based on Quran and Sunnah. And there are a number of ahadith in this context. Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli muslim." Seeking knowledge is obligatory upon every Muslim. What does it mean? It is obligatory means there is no choice that we can do it or not. It's not a choice-based entity of knowledge, whether we wish or not. Rather, there is no choice left with us. It's unconditional that we have to seek this knowledge. Now, what we have to see, what form is this obligatory part, or simply called necessary knowledge. What is this necessary knowledge which is obligatory upon all of us? I'll talk about it after a short while. So this is the thing we need, and there are a number of hadiths about the significance of this part of knowledge, which will ensure our success of dunya and success of akhirah, which will bring solace, consolation, satisfaction in the heart, certainty in the mind. There will be no doubt at all, because it's based on the soundness of knowledge, which I have discussed in the first session, based on the concept of God, based on the concept of nubuwah. Then, when we delve and when we tread this path, this is the path of ilm or path of knowledge. This knowledge, specifically this knowledge, is the path of Jannah. As Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there's a hadith, Qais ibn Kufayr, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, قدم رجل من المدينة على أبي الدرداء رضي الله عنه وهو في دمشق. A man came to see Abu Darda رضي الله عنه, one of the famous companions. وهو في دمشق, while he was in Damascus at that point of time. فقال, Sayyidina Abu Darda asked him, ما أقدمك يا أخي, my brother, what brought you here? What is the purpose of your visit? And you know, Abu Darda رضي الله عنه, he was among the Sahabi. He always wished to go to Damascus. He wanted to go to Damascus. And Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu also wanted to send him to Damascus. But there was difference in the intention. Many a times Abu Darda, he said to Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, but I want to go to Damascus, I want to go to Syria. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu said, okay, I'm also willing to send you there, but as a governor. Which Sayyidina Abu Darda always declined. And then Umar ibn Khattab asked him, then why do you want to go there? And Abu Darda said, I want to teach the sunnah of the Prophet there. You see their preferences. If this choice is given to us, do you like to be a teacher or a governor of a particular province? So our preferences are altogether different. Our preferences are altogether different. Sayyidina Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, he wanted to go to Syria as a teacher to teach the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam. And then he did this job in Syria. That's why the Rawi, the narrator says, "Wa huwa bi Dimashq." At that point of time, he was in Damascus. And then Sayyidina Abu Darda asked him, "Ma aqdamaka ya akhi?" My brother, what brought you here? What's the purpose of your visit? For all, the man he answered. He said, حديث بلغني حديث بلغني أنك تحدث عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The basic motivation that brought me here is a hadith that I have heard that you narrate from the Prophet, peace be upon him. So I came to know that you have a hadith with you, which you narrate from the Prophet, peace be upon him. All Sayyidina Abu Darda again asked, أما جئت لحاجة? Is there any other need that brought you here to this place? He wanted to confirm that his basic intentions is to get the hadith. So he asked him, أما جئت لحاجة? Is there any other need that fetched you here? قال لا. He said no. قال أما قدمت للتجارة? Is there any purpose behind this visit? Is there any purpose of any business activity? Do you want to do any business here? I brought you here, and in between the lines, you want to just have a visit of mine? قال لا. He said no. It's neither any business nor any need. قال ما جئت إلا في طلب هذا الحديث? Is it surely that you came only for the sake of this hadith to listen from me? قال فإني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول. Then Sayyidina Abu Darda said, I have heard the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم, من سلك طريقا, whoever adopts a path, whoever seeks a path, يبتغي فيه علما, in which he wishes, he aspires to have the knowledge, to know something. سلك الله به طريقا إلى الجنة. Allah will make this way of him towards the Jannah. If you have only that your basic objective is to know the deen, there's no any worldly interest attached to it. There's no any other motivation that prompted you, that incited you, that provoked you, or which evoked your interest. There was nothing like that. The only thing that provoked you, that motivated you, was to know the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is, as I told you before, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ, Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ, whatever Prophet gives you, peace be upon him, فَخُذُوهُ, hold fast unto it, وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا, and whatever he prohibits you, stay away from it. So if it is only hadith, then listen, I have heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that man salaka tariqa yabtaki fihi ilma, whoever adopts a path in which he seeks the knowledge, salaka Allahu bihi tariqan ila al-jannah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will turn this path of knowledge to the path of Jannah for him. And then وَإِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَةَ لَتَدَعُ أَجْنِحَتِهَا, and then you must know that the angels come down, they spread their wings out of pleasure for the student of knowledge. Just open the window of your heart and ask your heart why you are here. We don't have to ask our neighbors, our friends. Just close your eyes, open the window of your heart, then ask yourself, why I am here? What fetched me here? It is just to show to our brothers, okay, I made my attendance. I was here. Truly, I just want to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because here the gathering is usually the members of the revivers. We're supposed to be the forerunners of this message. And then, as long as we translate the knowledge into the practice, that is basic objective of the knowledge. If we are not able to translate the knowledge into practice, then there's a beautiful couplet in Arabic which says, لو كان في العلم من دون التقى شرف لكان أشرف خلق الله إبليس. If there were any excellence, if there were any virtue without taqwa, without consciousness, means that's what prompts a person to practice. لكان أشرف خلق الله إبليس. Then the most revered, most honored, most dignified personality would have been Iblis, because he had tremendous amount of knowledge, but he added to practice. That knowledge, that data was not transformed into practice. So here, we are not just supposed to just mark the things. We have to just set the goal of our life. The conceptual part I talked about, that the most authentic source of knowledge, and the knowledge that can bring us closer to Creator. Why do we accept this particular way of knowledge? I have talked about it. Now, it's now how can we internalize this? And those who seek this path with a sincerity of thought, with a purity of intention, Sayyidina Abu Darda says, radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, وَإِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَةَ لَتَدْعُوا أَجْنِحَتِهَا لِدُعَاءِ الطَّالِبِ. That the Malaika, they're proud of such people whose objective behind seeking knowledge is to please Allah. My dear brothers and sisters, you must know that knowledge is such an important thing that Allah has created. It has elevation, inherent elevation. It's those who seek it, they can touch the heights. Whether this is the knowledge of deen or knowledge of dunya. The essence, the basic stuff of knowledge, the way Allah has created it, it has an inherent elevation. It takes a person to the heights. But now, as the path of knowledge is path of Jannah, but dangerous path as well. Is it easy Jannah, but the most difficult path. And then Sayyidina Abu Darda properties said, when alima la yastaqimu fi samawati wa fil ard. And for the scholar, the one who seeks this knowledge and then he disseminates this knowledge to others. When the alima, and indeed the scholar, la yastaqimu lahu man fi samawati wa fil ard. Indeed, those in the heavens and the earth seek forgiveness for the scholar, for the man who possesses the knowledge. Hatta al-hitan fil ma. Even the fish in the sea, in the river, the fish in the water. حتى الحيتان في الماء وفضل العالم على العابد. The virtue of a scholar over a worshipper. كفضل القمر على سائر الكواكب. Is that of the preference, virtue of and excellence of moon over all the stars. This is with reference to us, because when we look at the sky, at the heavens, what is more brighter to us because of its nearness to us, that is moon. It is in this Prophet shared this. Then he said, "Inna al-ulama warathatul anbiya." Indeed, scholars are the inheritors of the prophets. Inna al-anbiya lam yuwarithu dinara wala dirhama. The prophets, they did not leave behind dirham, cash or any currency. Innama warathu al-ilm. They leave behind the knowledge they got from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who carry forward this mission to others, they are the most dignified people on the surface of the planet. Because they are doing the job of whom? The prophets. Those people are not the prophets, but they are taking forward the message of the prophets. That's why Allah says in the Quran, for such people, carry forward this mission. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Whose speech is better than the one who calls people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The best of all calls. They have many job calls, degree calls, many advertisements are there. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ. The most virtuous, the most respectful, the most revered job in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a person who calls people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. It's not only just rhetorics. They keep on saying, and on his part, he doesn't do anything. Like Banu Israel, the scholars of children of Israel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِمَ أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do you command people of the good and you forget yourselves? Knowledge is not for others. Yes, we have to disseminate, we have to carry forward the knowledge to others. But with this intention, that is my responsibility. But essentially, it is meant for me. If I ask you a question, you are doing this degree, the degree, for whom this degree is? Everyone asks this question. For whom it is? For us, or for I, for me or for us? Think, then answer. Okay, so we internalize it. You have a bike. If I ask you whose bike this is, do I say, oh, it's ours? No, no, no. It's mine, specifically mine. Are you getting my point? Okay. Whose deen this is? This is ours. See, not for me. There are many people to follow this. No, deen is for me. Quran is for me. Knowledge is for me. Are you getting my point? This is the internalization of knowledge. We need to internalize this. The message of God is for me. All the prophetic tradition, peace upon you, is for me. Yes, then I have the responsibility to carry forward this message to others. So, the excellence of knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says clearly in the Quran, وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. Allah elevates the status of those people who possess the knowledge, the possessors of knowledge, those who have the knowledge. Allah elevates their position. So it is immensely important that we tread the path of knowledge, but we need to know that why do I tread this path of knowledge? What is the basic essence? What's the basic motivation for me to seek this knowledge? It is just, is it just to seek the fame and popularity among the people? People say, oh, he's a very good presenter. And then if it is a Facebook Live and others, okay, see how many likes are there. People see how many likes are there. Then the whole concept is put into shadow. And there is no benefit of this knowledge worldwide. The basic knowledge is that is Marifatullah ta'ala. We get the true cognizance of Allah. And if knowledge doesn't bring us close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this will be a source of destruction for us. As I said before, the path of knowledge is path of Jannah, but at the same time, this is the most dangerous path. Because if there is corruption in the intention, then it's the most destructive path. It will take a person towards a catastrophic disaster. Catastrophic calamity is awaiting a person if the intention is not correct. And with the irritating intention, small efforts in knowledge will bear the huge fruits. But if it's a huge data with a person, now this computer, first it was MBs, then GBs, now TBs. It gathers huge stuff of knowledge. Okay, it's not stored here, it's stored here. The only thing is a matter of its positioning. Whether this is in the hard disk or in the broker's part of the brain. This hardly matters. What matters is that it needs to be translated into practice so that it becomes the example for others. The presently, we don't have the lack of knowledge. We have the lack of those who practice this knowledge, who serve as an example for others. And as a team here, you are responsible for this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you for this cause. And Allah doesn't choose any Tom, Dick, and Harry. There's something good in your hearts. I'm sure about it. Otherwise, there are many people more efficient than us, more intelligent than us, more knowledgeable than us. But there is definitely something good in our hearts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose you for this cause. Okay, I will choose you for this cause because this is the cause of prophets. You say, oh Prophet, this is my path. What is the path of Prophet? Ad'u ilallah. Inviting all mankind to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our objective in seeking knowledge should not to establish my own position among the people. Oh, he's having a plethora of knowledge, blah, blah, blah. This is all satanic traps that we have to go through. So we have to go through our heart immensely. My dear brothers and sisters, after knowing the fact that what is the true source of knowledge, we need to adopt this path. And then after adopting this path, we need to translate what we learn into the practice. There's a well saying in Arabic, Al-amal kashajar bila thamar. The essence of a tree lies in its fruits. When the tree doesn't bear the fruits, what do we do with it? It is burned with ashes. Because now it is useless. As long as it bears the fruits, everybody takes care of it. Proper pesticides, proper irrigation, proper watering, everything is proper deweeding, everything is done. Because as long as it bears fruits. It says, Al-ilmu bila amal kashajar bila thamar. The knowledge without practice is like the tree without the fruit. And another saying is, Al-ilmu bila amal كَنَهَرْ بِلَا مَاء. The essence of a brook, the essence of a river is with the water. And if it is dried up, there is no essence of it. Dear brothers and sisters, so we need to first of all set the path for us. The path is of, as I said, 4 basic sources of our thought, our deen, our Islam. That is Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, and Ijtihad or Qiyas. And then through the proper channels, from the proper sources of proper scholars. And once we adopt this path, then what is our second responsibility? When we learn the deen, we have to transform what we learn into the practice. So there were many other important discussions, which I think I cannot deliberate on right now. I'm just summarizing and concluding this: the seeking knowledge and striking a balance in the worldly life. Essentially, in a believer's life, there is no compartmentalization in terms of dunya and deen. Essentially, our life is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our life is a trust with us, is a trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to behave, we have to practice the way Allah commands us. So in our life journey, there are many things which are wajib, we have to do. There are many things which are mustahab, that we have the choice. And there are many things which are mubah for us. And there are many things which are disliked, we need to stay away from. And there are many things which are strictly prohibited. It's a classification of our deeds. If we classify all our actions that we do, that do fall into this classification, either it is wajib, or it is mustahab, or it is mubah. Mubah means mustafa tarafa, whose both the ends are all together. Say, you won't be rewarded for this. If you don't do, you won't be punished for this. So our life is all going through in this direction. So there is no such segregation. Our life of dunya was with the Christians. When the Renaissance occurred, Renaissance is a period which is known as the rebirth of Europe, reborn of the Europe. So they wanted a separation of the religious life from the worldly affairs. Firstly, it was Faslu Dawla and al-Din. Then second step was Faslu Din and al-Hayat. The separation of Deen from the public affairs. This was the first step. And the second step was extraction of Deen from the life of a person. But in our context, all our deeds do fall into the category of Deen. So there is no such classification, knowledge of Deen and knowledge of Dunya. But there is one thing important in this intention. If the intention is good, then our engineering, we study the engineering, we study medicine, we study law, whatever field of knowledge we study, if our intention is good, this may be a source of Jannah for us. What is the intention? That I'm doing this to serve the mankind. Prophet ﷺ said, "Khairun nasi man yanfa'un nas." Best among the people are those who are more beneficial to the people. And this benefit is not just disseminating the knowledge of Quran and Sunnah. If your intention is that to serve the community, not to grab the money as much as possible. That's right now what we find out. If you're in the field of medicine, if your intention to serve the mankind, if your intention is to serve the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this way, and you're studying physics, chemistry, biology, any branch of knowledge, if it takes you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this is a beneficial knowledge. Do you think that religious knowledge can take a person to hellfire, and so-called secular knowledge can take a person to Jannah? Is it possible? Religious knowledge can take a person to Jahannam, to hellfire. And so-called secular knowledge, our worldly knowledge, may take a person to Jannah. Do you think it is correct? Is it possible? How is it possible? The knowledge of Deen take a person to Jahannam. Is it possible? It's all because of niyyah. Prophet said, there's authentic hadith. Prophet said, the first 3 people who shall be decreed to be pushed into the depths of the hellfire. Whom Prophet addressed? The man who was not performing the salah. The man who was not giving zakah. No. Who is the man? Prophet said, alimun. The first people who shall be cast into the hellfire will be a scholar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks this authentic hadith in Sahih Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah will ask him, I blessed you with knowledge. So, what did you offer? He said, Ya Rab, I learned acquired the knowledge, and I was disseminating the knowledge, I was teaching the people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Kadhabta. You spoke lie. Allah knows what is in the hearts of the people. What's in my heart may be screened for you, you cannot have access to it. What's in your hearts, I cannot have access to it. But all 8 billion people, what is in the depths of the hearts, in the innermost chambers of the hearts, is all known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah will say to him, Kadhabta, you spoke lie. Your objective was to get popularity among the people. So many following, this man likes, this much likes, this much likes. So you wanted to establish your own position. And then Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah will command the angels, take him to Jahannam upon his face. So he'll be taken to by virtue of knowledge of deen. So it means if intention is corrupted, then even the knowledge of deen won't benefit a person. So the da'i and the scholar, though level is very high in the sight of Allah, it's very dangerous as well. It's very dangerous. So one has to take care of it. Imam Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah ta'ala, one of the famous muhaddis, he used to say that he was knowledge. It's mentioned about him that he used to say that all along my life, the only thing that was very difficult for me to handle, that is my heart. Why? That's my intention, my niyyah. Why? Because it keep on changing. Qalb actually means which is in constant flux, which keep on changing. So all my life, the most difficult thing for me was to take care of my niyyah. Because right now we are in this class, we hear about Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The hearts are soft. The qalb, the inherent property of the heart is that whatever data is supplied to it, it receives, it responses. So we think about knowledge, we think about, okay, I make all sacrifice for the sake of God. But once we disperse, we go back to our different circles, and we talk about the dunya. We talk much about the dunya, then the heart will feel the yearning for the dunya. That's why we need constant regular sessions for this. We need constant reminders for ourselves. Why to pray 5 times a prayer? It's a constant reminder. Why to sing every salah, Surah Al-Fatiha? A constant reminder. So that our heart is always connected to our Lord. So my dear brothers and sisters, if this is not achieved, there's a purpose of knowledge. Knowledge is a specific purpose, and this purpose is that it has to be translated into the practice. And once we do this, and then it's not only the practice, the important thing is the intention. Sayyidina Abdullah bin Mas'ud, yes, I conclude inshallah now. He used to say that La yanfu illa bil amal. No speech will benefit a person until he practices it. Whatever, if I say a lot of things, but I don't do anything, will it benefit me? It won't benefit me. Because Allah will reward a person according to his effort, not according to his intelligence and what he remembered. You must remember this thing. Allah will reward the people as according to their efforts, not according to their intelligence. He said, La yanfu qawl illa bil amal. Not a speech, no any speech of a person will benefit him until he practices it. And he says, Wala yanfu qawl. La yanfu qawl illa bil amal. Then he says, Wala yanfu amal illa bil niyyah. And he says, and the niyyah won't benefit a person. Sorry, amal, the practice won't benefit a person until there is a good intention. So if a person, whatever he speaks about now he practices this. After the practice, what's more important, or during the practice? Niyyah. Niyyah means intention. So what is the motivation? Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a person will be performing salah. After the iman, the best of all deeds. One of the hadith says, as-salatu khairu mawdu. The best deeds which Allah has prescribed for the is salah. And a person will be performing salah, but he's committing shirk. How? Man salla yura'iyan faqad ashrak. Whoever performs the salah just for the sake of ostentation, just for the sake of show off, faqad ashrak, he committed the shirk because in niyyah was corrupted. And then Sayyidina Abu Darda said, Ibn Mas'ud said, La yanfu qawl illa bil amal, wa la yanfu amalun illa bin niyyah, wa la yanfu niyyatun illa ma wafaqa sunnah. If what you say, you translate into practice, and that too you have a good intention, still you won't be benefited. Why? as long as the action is not according to the sunnah of the Prophet. This is essentially important. Many a times you will be performing a particular deed and you think, okay, they'll be thinking, oh, we are doing a splendid job, meticulous job. In the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, أَخْسَرِينَ أَعْمَالًا, the top level losers in terms of their deeds. Why? Because the amal is not according to the sunnah of the Prophet. So knowledge has to be translated in all walks of life. It's not just we go into the four walls of the masjid of surah, then there we have to translate into the practice. It's actually beyond the four walls of the masjid. When I'm in the market, when I'm in the classroom, when I'm in the gatherings, here we have to translate our true nature and true character of a Muslim, being a Muslim. And that's very important. And this exemplary character, that's what right now we need. Otherwise, we have tremendous access to the knowledge. Just one click, we can now GPT has just made everything possible for you. So the basic objective is the data has to be transformed into the practice. And specifically, though it is for all Muslims, but specifically the responsibility is more on the shoulders of those who carry forward this mission. Allah blessed with this mission, that you are supposed to carry forward the message of deen to others. Allah uses you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts your efforts in any way or in any form in the dissemination of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is no such compartmentalization. Your intention is good, you want to serve the mankind, then inshallah, and you learn a lot. Then any branch of knowledge, any discipline of knowledge can fetch you and can bring you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If intention is corrupted, even if it is Islamic sciences and religious sciences, then the person won't be prevented from the punishment and torment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He cannot save himself from the wrath and anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us with sound knowledge, with the proper authentic knowledge, and bless us with the scholars who guide us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who guide us properly to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fix the problems of our heart, because it is essentially important, my dear brothers and sisters. Wallahi, it is all in vain if it is not taken care of. As Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, taqwa ha huna. The whole concept of taqwa, piety, God consciousness lies where? Is a piece of flesh. The Prophet said, إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. If it is set aright, the whole body is set aright. When fasadat, fasad al-jasad. Then a person will be doing a lot of dawah work just to impress others. There will be no reward in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But one must remember that ikhlas doesn't come instantly. For this, we have to make efforts. The first stage is Qadi Fudayl, but the first stage is it starts from the Riyah. You start doing a work, it starts from the Riyah. Then after some time, you are steadfast, it's Riyah and Ikhlas, mix it together. But you still focus on it, then inshallah, eventually you will reach that Ikhlas. But this wholly depends upon the eagerness in the heart. Ya Allah, I want to do everything for your sake. And remember, wallah, if it's small, okay, just not 2 minutes, just few seconds. Small amount of ikhlas. If we are able to get a small amount of ikhlas all through the life, that's what my teacher always suggested and advised me. That if we are able to get a small bit of ikhlas all through our life, it's enough for our success. Because ikhlas is so emphatic, so important in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It could be Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala. It is mentioned about him that Qadi Fudayl says rahimahullah, when he passed away, somebody saw him in the dream. First of all, dreams are not taken to be in the legal perspective. They cannot form the foundation of our law. Okay? So this is the basic premises, I just put it. So somebody saw him in the dream and asked him, Ya Abu Abdullah, oh Abu Abdullah, oh Imam Ahmad rahimahullah. So, Lord, he said, Kareem, he is generous. And what happened with you? He said, Allah forgive me. Oh yes, of course, you deserve the forgiveness because you spent all your life in the service of knowledge, ilm. And he said, no, there's one thing I want to like. What was it? One day I wanted to have a bath. There were public baths that time. Prophet strictly commanded that if you go to this public bath, then you must cover your body properly, because people usually they were careless about covering their bodies. Prophet said, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir, fala yadkhulanna al-hammama illa bimi'zarin." This is a hadith of Prophet, peace be upon him. That any one of you goes to the public bath, that he must dress him up himself properly. So when I entered, I remember this hadith. So I dressed it properly myself so that there is no aura open. And then I started the bath as the Prophet commanded us, starting with doing the ablution first and starting from the right side. So this was my intention. And Allah knows the best degree of intention of Imam Ahmad at that point of time, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took a strong note of. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to Sayyidina Abu Dhar, Ya Abu Dhar, akhlis fil amal. Oh Abu Dhar, be sincere in all your deeds, when you knock at the basir. Because the one who is going to examine it is very, very, it goes down deep the channels of the heart. And see inside what is inside, what is the motivation inside. He doesn't see our bodily gestures. La yandur ila suwarikum wa ajsamikum, walaki yandur ila qulubikum. So I conclude this. The path of knowledge is tremendous. You can say it's a most meticulous path, most broadest path, and the path that leads a person to Jannah. But at the same time, there are many precautions we have to take. Our intention should be all together clear in our life, so we don't have to make a compartmentalization. This is for dunya, this is for deen. Our everything is for deen. And how is it possible? When we make the intention. Our intention should be there. The Prophet ﷺ, a man, he saw an egg that was stuck under the soil. So he thought, okay, somebody may stumble during the night. So he took it out. The other person, he again thrust into the soil. With this intention, somebody may be walking around, he may tie his camel. So two opposite actions. The Prophet said both will get the reward because the intention was pure, intention was good. So this intention we need to expand in all walks of life. I hope, inshallah, we all practice it. We try to talk level best and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make all easy for us. Amin ya Rabbil Alameen. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallah wa bihamdihi. La ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin. Walhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, please.
Before we start the Q&A session, brothers, please send your matric number to Brother Abdullah. His name is surviving in the Brotherhood group chat.
If there is any question with anyone, you can ask, please. Yes, please.
What's the best way to get rid of distractions in that way? Trying to seek knowledge.
The question is, what's the best way to get away from the distractions while seeking the knowledge? Of course, as I said, lifelong enemy, round the clock, 24/7, it is Shaitan. And he's very meticulous and he's very experienced because he has gone through the epochs and the times of all prophets, 124,000 prophets he has seen. So he knows all the ways and traps. The best way is simply, first of all, get a pious company. A pious company is immensely important, specifically because a man is known by the company he keeps. Therefore, the first thing is, when you seek the path of knowledge, avoid all those people whom you think that they can distract you from the right path. Because this is quite experienced thing. When we are among the people, and most of them are, for example, they're not performing the salah. So it is very difficult for a person who's performing the salah to get out for the salah. Therefore, just be around with those people who all perform the salah. It is easy for you. Likewise, and Prophet also said, "La tusahib illa mu'mina." So you should always be in the company of a true believer. And in the light of the Quran, in Surah Al-Luqman, Sayyidina Luqman rahimahullah, the nasiha, the advices he gave to his son, one of the nasiha he gave, وَاتَّبِئْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيْهِ. وَاتَّبِئْ سَبِيلَ, O my son, you follow the path of those who return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So first one is istiqamah, in the path of knowledge. because many people, they start the journey. Okay, some people just after a few yards, some people half away, some people they are very close to reach to it, they just get away from it. So just first of all, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala istiqamah. For istiqamah, read of the stories of the companions, the hardships they underwent for the sake of deen, which is easy for us right now. We have easy platforms, but for them, they had to pay the price for this. So go through the stories of the prophets, their hardships, stories of the companions, their hardships. That will provide you in motivation, and then be in the company of the pious people. And thirdly, and most important is that always make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, grant me istiqamah, steadfastness, consistency, and save me all sorts of evil. Because a dua, silahul mu'min, is a weapon with us, but is almost, unfortunately, eaten up by the dross and rust. So we need to utilize this weapon, that weapon of dua, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with ultimate intention. And fourth important thing, that remember always, Allah will reward you according to your efforts. Somebody asked a Sheikh that how long is the distance between a person and the Jannah? How long is the distance between a person and the Jannah? He said, just 2 steps. One upon your nafs, second will be in the Jannah. First step, you just place upon your nafs, trample your nafs. And second will be in the Jannah. So for this, constantly ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and just avoid excessive use of internet. Just my opinion, maybe it may seem to be an awkward one, or the wrong one here. Just minimize your usage of all the social media sites. It's not going to be beneficial. Yes, as long as it is beneficial, you can use it, but it consumes a lot of your time. And at the end of the day, there's nothing with you. So just focus on the proper way of knowledge and not these. These are a few suggestions. Inshallah, hopefully, subhanahu wa ta'ala will save you from all sorts of distractions.
Whenever we perform something, how do we keep our niyah pure? As in, how do we stop ourselves from seeking other people's validation? I mean, even though we're doing it for
the sake of Allah.
For the sake of Allah, naturally, a part of us wants that. Okay, let the other guy see that I'm
True.
How do we stop ourselves?
One important thing is that when we do anything, we should not be under this false impression that the shaitan won't do anything for us. His only job around the clock is to mislead us. And he's so consistent and so, we can, sincere in his job. He never lags behind. He never show any sort of, he's never slackened. So whenever we do any job, any good deed, it's but natural that we will have some evil intentions. And that's what Allah says, yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas. Here comes this verse. Yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas. He whispers into the hearts of the people. When they do something good. Or if they're idle, just pumping the bad ideas into their heart. That's his constant job. But one thing is, as long as there is conflict in the heart, on one side I say, I do this only for your sake. On the other side, okay, he's also watching me. Oh, he's getting impressed. But then again, you bash it. Oh, Ya Allah, please. As long as this conflict exists, you are on the ikhlas. The moment you surrender, it is riyah. Simple thing. So as long as you resist, you are on the ikhlas. The moment you give up, you surrender, and then you feel good. Okay, that one has seen me. Okay, I came under his eyes, and then you give up here. This is riyah. Okay, the conflict is there. So as long as we resist, our ikhlas exists. If there is no resistance, there is no sincerity. It's a simple way to understand this. Or sometimes it also happens that we have the ikhlas, but we think, okay, I'm making riyah. It also happens many a times that you have the ikhlas in your heart, but you think, okay, your shaitan is I told you, he's very cunning. So you make, you're doing, though you're not making riyah, but you feel as if I'm making riyah. I'm doing this for the sake of others. A good example should be, if you are in a glass house, it's a transparent glass house, there's a house light which is outside. But when I look from inside, it seems it is inside, isn't it? It seems inside, but it's outside. Same is with the ikhlas. As long as you have the purity of intention and you have this And okay, shaitan makes you, okay, you're making riya. You say, no, I'm doing this for the sake of Allah. You resist. This is ikhlas. So resistance is a sign of your sincerity. Resistance on the part of the heart. That's how we can ensure our ikhlas. And how to achieve or how to sustain the ikhlas is, ulama suggest that 3 things we have to do. One, before doing any act, we need to check our intention. Sayyidina Abu Darda or someone else among the companions, somebody said to him, look, here's one janazah, let us join the janazah. He said, mahlan, stop for a while. Then he thought for a while. He paused and he thought for a while. Okay, let's go. He said, what happened? He said, until I fix my heart. I'm joining that. Okay, my heart told me that, okay, my motivation was his saying, okay, he told me, let's join this good deed. So, okay, he'll be impressed. So I just wanted to fix the problem of the heart. I said, okay, I do this only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first thing is, whenever we do anything, before doing the deed, we need to check the intention, examine the intention. Make sure that it's for the sake of Allah. Second, in between performing the deed, keep on checking. You're sitting here, just keep on checking why I'm here. I'm talking to you, I need to check instantly, inwardly, I need to check. What's the purpose behind talking all these things? And third, when you complete the deed, examine it. What was the motivation with me to do this? When you do this, inshallah, it will help you a lot to achieve the ikhlas in all walks of life, inshallah. Welcome. Walaikum salam. Just a bit loud, please.
My question is, how should a person search for the path that chose for him?
Sorry, come again.
So, what's your advice to find the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really chose for the person?
How a person can find out what path Allah has chosen for a person. So you mean to have access towards the knowledge of future. You mean to say like this? There is no way to know about the future. Quran clearly says, "La ya'lamul ghaiba illa hu." The qadar is among the knowledge of unseen. No one knows about it. So maybe I have wrongly got the question. Okay, you can say in Arabic if you can speak. Or you want to say that how can I identify which path is the path of God, which is the authentic way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Views and interpretations of deen. So how can I know that what is the best interpretation, what's the best way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
So, like, for example, the person learns more about this deed. Studies engineering and
Okay.
you are in a situation where you don't know in which direction your life will go. Is there any advice to find the direction that Allah
Yes. You mean to say that if you are in different walks of life, in different disciplines of knowledge, not in specifically in Islamic knowledge, so what is the best way to know how to get to the best path, to the right path? So the first thing is that make a lot of dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the first thing, make a lot of dua, because sincere dua, Allah always addresses. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي when you, out of sincerity of heart, wallahi, thumma wallahi, it is deadly impossible that you won't get the right path. So first thing is dua. Second thing is that in your surroundings, you see those men of practice. There will be many people, you see their practical life. You come to know, and the most important thing is that, as I said before, the basic source of knowledge, Quran, Sunnah. You find the people, those who talk about the Quran, Sunnah, and then the Turas, our Ayyimah Mujtahideen. I should put it, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah is a group which is guaranteed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen the path. This is a path which Allah has chosen for all mankind. That is path of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. However, outside Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, there are also certain groups we do consider them Muslims, but misled Muslims. So best way is, okay, you find out the path of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. There's a mainstream Islam around, as I said before, around 80% of the population of the Muslims, mainstream, they follow the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. That is the way. And this is actually Ahlul Sunnah. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Alaykum bisunnati." So it's necessary upon you to hold fast onto my sunnah. And also Prophet mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he talked about the Jews. The Jews they were divided into 71 groups. 70 were of hellish people, and one was the one who got the success and salvation. Then the Nasara, the Christians, they were divided into 72 groups. 71 they were all deviated. One was on the right path. Then Prophet said, "My ummah sataftariqu ummati." My ummah shall be divided into 73 groups. 72 will be deviated, and one will be on the right path. The natural question on the part of the Sahaba was, "Man whom? Who are this? Who is this group?" And Prophet said, "Ma ana alayhi wa ashabi." My path and the path of my companions. When Prophet said, "Ma ana alayhi," so it is Ahlul Sunnah. Wa ashabi, that is wal Jama'ah, the Jama'ah of the Sahaba. So we fall because they were the first disciples of Islam. They were the first people who learned the deen. The Quran was revealed among them. They knew out of multiple meanings of the Quran, they knew which is a specific meaning of it. So it is among them the Quran was revealed. That's why Sayyidina Abdullah bin Mas'ud said that man kana mustannan, if anyone wants to follow the path, falyastanna biman kad mat, let him follow the path of the Sahaba. About the quluba, because they were having the purest of the hearts. Allah had chosen them for the companionship of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So their path is path of success. So the simple way is path of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. That's the answer to this question.
There's, for example, like the changes that, for example, marriage. How do you know if it's right? Or let's say you're better for you, or medical line is better for you. How do you decide that?
First of all, you need to get the proper counseling for this. First of all, try to find out your own interest. Your own interest means to say that you see that you can work well, you can go along the way. Because sometimes we, at the mental level, we set certain goals, but our practical approach doesn't support it. So we have many aims in our life, but we need to see what's my proper interest. First of all, try to identify your proper interest. Once you are able to get your proper interest, then get of the subject experts on a particular issue, in that particular field of knowledge. And then it will be all easy for you to choose that path. Usually what happens is that, okay, we set a goal in our life, it's all random. There's no proper planning for this. إِنَّ رَبَّكُمُ اللَّهُ الَّذِي خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ فِي سِتَّةِ أَيَّامٍ. Allah says in the Quran, indeed your Lord created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. Though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have created this in just in a jiffy, in a nanosecond. But Quran says 6 days. The ulama said that actually it was to show a proper order, a proper planning. Whenever we do anything, we must do the proper planning. So proper planning for a particular field, first try to identify your own interest, your area of interest, consult the expert subjects of that particular field of knowledge, and then seek their opinions about it. And it will be easy for you to go along. It's not that it's a random thought, you just grab it, and then you just go along, and then your interest, your heart is not with it. So the best way is to find it out. Then sometimes it's also possible that we may have made. Then consult the subject opinions, consult the subject experts, get their opinions, then process these opinions and go along the way.
What's your advice on someone who has not shared it yet because he or he thinks that they're not capable yet, but someone who has more expertise in it?
This depends. Actually, this depends. As far as the audience is concerned. As far as the general theme of knowledge is concerned in Islam, we are all born da'is. We must know this. Whether you're in the field of engineering, you're a businessman, you're a layman, you're a doctor, you're a pilot, you're a scholar, whatever capacity you have, we are all born da'is. So the reason we were sent into this ummah, it's enough for us to understand that I'm born da'i. Why? Because Prophet ﷺ said, "Ana khatamun nabi la nabiyya ba'di." I'm the last of the prophets, no prophet shall come after me. So the responsibility of this ummah to carry forward this message to others. And what should be the minimum criterion for the knowledge? We must know And Prophet has said this. The minimum criterion that is required for carrying forward the message to others. Prophet said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, "Ballighu anni walau ayah." This is the beginning. And the top level is not mentioned in the Quran and Hadith. This varies from person to person. So minimum level, Prophet said it. So if you know one thing, just with ikhlas, just carry forward to others. And shaitan here comes, okay, you say to others, but you will practice. Then he also makes you think, okay, Allah says, "Lima ta'muru, lima taquluna ma la taqulun." Don't say what you don't do. There's a wrong translation of this specific verse. Allah doesn't say, don't do what you do, practice. Allah says, "Lima taqul," why do you say which you don't practice? So it's a kind of admonition. Sayyidina Anas ibn Malik says, radiallahu anhu, that we asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "La na'muru bil ma'ruf hatta na'mala bihi kulli." O Prophet, "La na'muru bil ma'ruf hatta na'mala bihi kulli." Shouldn't we enjoy the good as long as we don't practice it all? "Wa la nanha 'anil munkar hatta najtaniba kullah." Shouldn't we stay away from the evil that we have not desisted from of our own? Prophet answered, "Bal muru bil ma'ruf wa lam ta'malu kullah." You must enjoy the good even if you don't practice it all. If we put this criterion, then no scholar can claim that, okay, I'm able to communicate the message to others. Because in some way or the other way, there are lacunas, there is a deficiency. Though our effort should be that I should practice as much as possible. But this should not be an impediment. It shouldn't be an obstruction in carrying forward the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to others. So the minimum knowledge criterion has been set by the Prophet himself, that it is even one thing you know about the deen, you must carry it forward to others. And then, okay, for example, now, if a person has little knowledge, now he's supposed to talk about the sources of Islamic law. It means that he's, of course, obviously incapable to do so. Then we should not charge him with this responsibility. So people should be given responsibilities according to their level of knowledge, according to their level of wit. And those who have this capability, then they should not resist. Because Allah knows best. If I talk to few people, some of them just, my talk stuck to the heart of a person, and all along the life he practices, I will get the reward for this. So dawah is, in any case, it is all beneficial for a person. But of course, we need to take care of the heart. The more emphatic and effective form of dawah is when the action speaks louder than the voice. When our speech is supported by the deeds, by the practical approach. Somebody asked a Sahabi, Yahud, a Jew asked the Sahabi, "What's your Quran?" If this question is put to us, "What's your Quran?" How shall we respond to this? You go, so and so tafsir, so and so tafsir, so and so. Abu Darda was passing by Radillah. He said, "That is our Quran going." If you want to see the Quran, see his life. That's our Quran. So set a good example. That's a desired thing in Islam. But of course, we cannot claim that we are perfect in all aspects of life. So shaitan, he makes use of it. Okay, you are not perfect, you cannot do this, you cannot do this. No. Dawah is, and I have experience with this thing. I have read about a famous sheikh that used to say that whatever deficiency I found in myself, I used to propagate it a lot. Whatever deficiency I found in myself, I used to focus on that point. And it helped, Allah helped me to overcome that deficiency. Because when you say to the people, perform the Salah 5 times prayers, and on your part you are lagging, you have the deficiency, then you will force you to think you're talking to the people and yourself, you're doing this. So this will help you to practice the deen.
As you know, the very fast.
Mhm.
Someone like me, brothers of the family, what should we start? What science should we want to take on?
This depends also. Now, there are two types of tastes with our brothers and sisters. One is the one who wants to have the deep understanding of deen. Second one is who wants to just know the just superficial means apparent form of the deen, not to want to go too deep. So these are two things we need to focus on. So first of all, a person has to find out his own interest, whether he wants to get the deeper into the deen or just superficial knowledge of Islam is necessary knowledge. It's important for us. For those people who want to know the superficial deen, because they are engaged with different disciplines of the knowledge, so they don't have the much time with them to get deeper into the knowledge. So for them, it is simply the three things important. One thing is the basics of etiqad. Sihhatul i'tiqad. There's a sound belief is important. To know the basics of the books. There are many books on the Aqidah. So just choose few books, go through this. Second one is Sihhatul A'mal, the sound deeds. Means that it comprises of what are the big obligations upon me as a Muslim. I must know about it. And the second, what are the basic prohibitions I need to stay away from? So means ilmul halal wal haram, that's in a specific field of knowledge. And the third thing is that focusing upon the heart, which is wajib upon everyone. All the scholars agree that amalul qulub, it is wajib upon everyone. Seek ikhlas, it is wajib. It's not something, okay, if you achieve, no problem. If you don't achieve, still no problem. It's wajib. Then there is ihsan. So iman, Islam, and ihsan, this part has to be taken care of at the superficial level. Then there is moderate level. Then there is advanced level. So we need to first of all identify our interests and also our area of activities, our engagements, availability of the time. All things have to be considered. But one thing is clear, as I said before, any discipline of knowledge you are in, if the niyyah is good, you are studying physics. What is physics simply? State of nature, natural phenomena. You want to know the creation of Allah, you will have the reward for this. Any discipline of knowledge that brings you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will get the reward for this. So this compartmentalization, we need to just move at all. So they have to see, and if you want to know at a deeper level, then you must go for the usul. So I mean to say that usul al-hadith, usul al-fiqh, usul al-tafsir, ulum al-Quran, and usul al-i'tiqad, that is then among that, in that level, we have also different sections. So I suggest start with the basics. Basic, I mean to say, for those who don't have much time, three things have to be learned at least. That is the ilm al-i'tiqad. We must have the sound knowledge. Then sihhatul amal. We must know what are the basic required obligations and basic prohibitions. And the third one is amalul qulub. That is diseases of the heart. We have to, and there's no any segregation in this. As there's no segregation at the first level, there's no segregation at the third level as well. That our heart, we have to take care about it. It's full of envy, rancor, arrogance, show off. So it has to be overcome. The praiseworthy qualities has to be boosted and furthered up, like ikhlas, generosity, hubbulillah tabaraka wa ta'ala, hubbuddin, muhabbat rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So all these things have to be implanted, infiltrated into the deep chambers of the heart. And so this is how we can go along with the path of knowledge. As far as the Wallahu khalaqakum fi butuni ummahatikum, I talked about it in my first session, that whether we are born with the innate knowledge or not. So I said that there are two levels. There are certain, if you talk about the innate knowledge, that's what René Descartes talked about, that is the knowledge of the basic knowledge that I need to survive. Is the knowledge there. And I need the food. It's the basic knowledge there. That's why we don't have to teach the child. We don't have to teach the infant that you have to get to the mother, you have to get suck, you have to get milk. We don't have to teach these things. These are inbuilt properties of knowledge with the child. However, what is the criterion for success and failure? What is truth and falsehood? It's not acquired in the womb of the mother. That's why here the choice is there. So we can say the first part is talking about this. It refers to that part of knowledge, which is about the truth and falsehood, which is about what is right and what's wrong, what is lawful and what is unlawful, what is correct, what is incorrect. So nobody knows in the womb of the mother. That's what Allah says. Then comes to Adam, peace be upon him. When we talk about Adam, there's two. That's how we get all knowledge that were descended from the Adam, peace be upon him. His son, he gave his knowledge to his sons, and he transferred to the next generation. Generation after generation, this knowledge came to us. And then this knowledge is of two types. One is knowledge about the world, and then second, knowledge about the Hidayah guidance. For second part, knowledge about the guidance Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From time to time, He sent the messengers and prophets to update that knowledge. And that knowledge had two parts again. One is the absolute part, which is unchanged, unaltered, since Adam peace be upon him until the last day to come. That is the basics and fundamentals of Aqidah. وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that to every nation and community we send a messenger with this message, أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ, that worship Allah alone, وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ, and stay away from falsehood. So this fundamental part of knowledge which is unchanged. However, due to the civilizational and cultural changes, second part was changed. For example, during the time of Adam, peace be upon him, La ilaha illallah is saying Adam Safiyullah. Then the commandments which were specifically given to فَتَلَقَّى آدَمُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ كَلِمَاتٍ. So he received some kalimat, some sunnah from Allah, some commandments from Allah, but not necessarily that these commandments were taken forward to the next generation, to the next prophet. Like from then came Nuh alayhi salam, La ilaha illallah is there, then Nuh Nabiullah. Now the Shari'ah of Nuh will be applicable. So these changes were because of the cultural and the civilization changes, because of the need of. That's why we say that Islam is dynamic. Why? Because the deen which was given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam encompasses each and every ambit of knowledge that is required for the success and failure of a person until the last day to come. That's why there is no need for any messengers to come. So this is the second part. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Regarding the third part is that, of course, that is the acquired part. That acquired part means we are in this hall. Do you think that all of us have the same level of knowledge? So what makes us different in terms of having the different bits of knowledge is our effort. More you make the efforts, more you get the knowledge. So that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. We have given the preference among the people over the others. It is because of acquired knowledge. So this is how I have understood this.
I want to feel like the twin sources, Sharia and your personal relation with can you please explain?
So first you said I want to discuss. You want to discuss? Come here. You want to ask the question. I said two expressions: twin sources of Sharia and two sources of Sharia. Yes. Regarding the Quran and Sunnah, I said that some people say that there are Quran and Sunnah two sources of Sharia, and I said there are twin sources of Sharia. At one level, this is just a linguistic difference in that at all. But at second level, this is ideological difference. What I mean to say, linguistic difference and ideological difference, for the Muslims, if we say, for those who hold this as a source of law, and they don't have any about its being a source of law, for them, whether you call twin sources of knowledge or two sources of knowledge, is altogether same. There's no difference at all. But when I talk at the ideological level, what I mean to say, they are the people who deny the authenticity of the Sunnah. This is Sunnah is not a source of law. It's only the Quran. So they call themselves Quranists, but we call them deniers of the Hadith, Munkirul Hadith. They deny the authenticity. Authenticity, I mean to say, they say, okay, if you want to grow a long beard, it's no problem. It's all up to you. To be good, they take Hadith in a moralistic point of view. So it is up to your choice whether you practice or not. If you practice, good. But if you don't practice, there won't be any demand on the part of Sharia. So what you will be asked to do compulsorily is the Quran. That's their argument. So here I say there are different sources of law. We don't make a difference here. For such people, we say there are different sources of law. As Quran is important, so the Sunnah is equally important. We don't make them up and down. Because without the Sunnah, we cannot understand the Quran. Simple thing, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ. Clear expression, perform the salah. How to perform the salah? Not a single verse in the Quran tells you how to perform the salah. How do you know about it? It's a twin source here. You don't say it is a second source that defines the Qimus Salah, which is lesser than this. That's why we say Wahyu is of two types. Wahyu matlu, Wahyu ghayru matlu. Recited revelation and non-recited revelation. Sunnah is referred to as Wahyu ghayru matlu. It is a form of Wahyu because وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Prophet doesn't say anything of his own desire and wish. It is absolutely what has been revealed to him. From this verse, from the verse of Surah An-Najm, we see that it is actually the Sunnah is also for Muslims two sources of law. if we talk at the ideological level, is a stable source of Sharia. That's what I mean by this classification. Yes, please.
And then we'll take a system.
Okay.
So the question is, if a person wants to serve yes, but wants to seek Islamic knowledge,
Hmm.
however, the place of study is far from the place where his or her parents live. May I kindly know what advice you would give? to that man?
So the question is not living with the parents. The one who asks the question is not living with the parents right now.
No,
Lives with
no,
the
he is living with
parents.
but the area to seek deen, the knowledge of deen is far.
Okay.
So what?
So my advice for such brothers and sisters is simply that Alhamdulillah, after the COVID, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened up many vistas and options and avenues that is online. If a person is not having a physical option to gain the knowledge, then there are online options that you are staying in your room, then you can get connected to different places far from your house. So it is easy for them to seek the knowledge. So my advice is that as long as you don't get the physical one option, then there is online option available. They can grab this opportunity.
Can do that in his online we have so many sources. So how do we?
Best way is to just seek the opinion of the scholars. Those scholars who you trust, just make a call to them. That I want to just join the online courses. Can you please help me out? That which are the correct one, authentic one that I need to join. That's the best way. Well, yeah.
We'll take one question from any sister.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Any question from the sisters' corner? Okay.
Speaking of knowledge, we get the knowledge from Quran and Sunnah, right? In the Quran, we know that Zalikul Kitabul La Rayba Fihi, that's no doubts. How do we know that a certain Sunnah hasn't been fabricated or changed throughout the years? How is it authentic?
Okay. It's a good question. You mean to say that about the Quran, we are all clear that it is all authentic.
Yes.
About the Sunnah, there are many fabricated things which are attributed to the Prophet, and essentially they are not spoken by the Prophet, peace be upon him. There are two levels. One is to follow a specific scholar you trust. If you don't have much of your, that's what Allah says. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. You don't have knowledge and you don't have the time to know of your own, then the best and smartest and the easiest way is فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the scholars who are the experts in that particular field. They will tell you which one is authentic, which one is not authentic. Second part is that if you want to know of your own, then there's a long journey of hadith. You need to track the path of ilm al-hadith, and then you know the technicalities of this ilm. Then you will know about which is the criterion to find out which one is fabricated and which one is not, which is authentic. So for this, you need to know of your own. So these are the ways, whichever way you find is easy for you, accessible for you, you can adopt it. جزاكم الله تعالى خيرا سبحان الله بحمده سبحانك الله بحمدك. Okay. Can you help me to just pass on the question to me, please? Because I cannot hear the sister properly. على رحبي وسعة. But I cannot hear it properly. Last one. بالضبط.
هذا الشيء ممكن يعملوه لحد معين. ممكن يعملوه لك لا ما ينفع لازم. مثلا انا ممكن يعني اي اتجاه انا ممكن اتجه من احيانا مثلا مثال الشيخ الغناء الشيخ الشعراوي قال ان الغناء حلال لحد معين. وفي شخص الحبيب القفري لو تسمع عنه كمان قال لحد معين ما يجيش ولا يجي قلبه. فلا يقول لك بعض المشايخ لا الغناء حرام ومنتبه تفصيلا. فانت تحسب هذا الموضوع خلاص يعني انت الى الان
If I'm not mistaken, first of all, I'll put your question. How I have understood this, your question is that sometimes there's an issue that arises. So some scholars, they have a specific opinion about it, whereas other scholars have a different opinion about it. So we get confused because on one side, there are the very genius scholars, they're not just local scholars. And on the other side, they're also kibar ulama, they're also senior scholars. So we are confused that which path to adopt. You mean to say like this? And then you give an example, and al-ghina, for me, al-ghina has a diverse meaning. It stands for the songs, it also stands for the music. So do you refer to the songs, the poems, or the music? Music. Okay. Okay, I forget, because as far as the ghina is concerned, what Imam Shafi said, halaluhu halal, haramuhu haram. So means that whatever is permissible is that's permissible, what is prohibited that is prohibited. So regarding this issue, whenever we come across with such situations that we have one single issue with us and then there are diverse opinions of scholars. So what to do in that condition? The best way, and there are also two steps and two methodologies to deal with this situation. The first one is if you have a strong belief about a particular scholar, your heart is quite satisfied with the scholar, then you follow his opinion, then forget about the opinions of others. Okay, that's the best way. And if your heart's not satisfied, then there is a rigorous process of knowing the concept of halal and haram. And you must know about the usul, you must know about the principles. And for this, you have to tread a long journey of knowledge, as I said to brother earlier. Because you want to know of your own now. First one is simply emulation of scholars, their opinions. Here, what the first Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul wa ulul amri minkum. And ulul amr, though many scholars say they are the umara jihad, but many of the scholars, they say that it refers to scholars. We need to follow the scholars. So if you have your heart is contented with a particular scholar, you are contented with his taqwa, with his knowledge, then the best and the easiest way and the safest way is to follow his opinion, forget about the opinion of others. That's what we do in other disciplines of the knowledge. There are those who say earth is round, and there are those who say earth is flat. In America, the growing population, they say earth is flat. And there's an association of earth flatters. So you have to take a position between the two. Either you have to find out of your own whether earth is round or it is flat. You have to see of your own. Or you have to just go to one school of thought. You cannot stand in between. Okay, they are partially good, they are partially good. That will confuse you. The best and easiest way to remove all this confusion is whomever you think that his knowledge, his taqwa, his sincerity, his integrity, you believe in, just follow his opinion. That's what Quran says, that's what Sunnah said. And if you have much courage and deep enthusiasm and passion, then there's a long way to go. Ultimately, inshallah, you'll come to know what was the right opinion. And that will be based on your own ijtihad, not on the ijtihad of the scholars. And I'm sure that that's very difficult. But not impossible, I should say. Not impossible, but very difficult. جزاكم الله خيرا سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
Thank you all for joining us. This will conclude our session. Thank you so much, Sheikh, for joining us. Brother Abu Hasnash would be, sorry, I butchered the name. He would be coming to present you a token of appreciation on behalf of all of us. I apologize.
جزاكم الله خير. Thank you so much. بارك الله فيكم. I just wanted a small explanation. Long back, the sister is a very important question the sister posed. I remember last time one of the brothers, he asked the same question, that there are many scholars, this is one, this is one, this is one. So we are confused. They make us confused. And he was luckily, because one of my favorite subjects is physics, had been and still the part of my study as well. So luckily he was a student of physics. So I said, I'm quite confused. I said, okay, tell me one thing. There are two models of physics. One is Einsteinian model of physics, second one is Newtonian model of physics. And both have two different paradigms. In which one, for example, Newtonian model of physics says time is absolute. And for Einstein, time is not absolute. It is relative. That's what theory of relativity is all about. So I said, on one side, Einstein says this, on the other side, Newton says, I'm confused. But have you ever developed any confusion when you study the physics? He said, no, because this is actually progression of knowledge. It's the same as in Islam. When you adopt a path of knowledge in a proper series, in a proper manner, you won't develop the confusions. Rather, confusions will altogether addressed and removed. As the same way, you adopt the path of physics in a proper way, in a proper progression. So these are two different paradigms, but you don't say that they are contradictions. You see, it's a progression of knowledge. Likewise, all I come as a student of knowledge, I have been going through the path of this marshy box of knowledge for almost over 2 decades. Wallahi, summa wallahi, I try to find out one single contradiction in Islam. I don't find anyone. I told many people, if you help me to find out a contradiction in Islam, why people feel this contradiction, this confusion? Because of lack of knowledge, lack of proper methodology. So we need to adopt a proper methodology. I summarize again. Best way, just follow a scholar whose taqwa, whose knowledge, whose integrity and sincerity you believe. Just follow his opinion, forget about the others. Yes, please. Yes, true. True. Yes. Is a unfortunate part is that
or even stronger. Because the generation comes after us, they're confusing.
because I think the easiest way to get popularity is talk about deen, whether you know anything or not. That's the easiest way. There's the simplest way, and then to establish your own position. And unfortunate part is that there is no check and balance on the part of the governments. For example, because for this we need a proper system, which we unfortunately which we lack. Unfortunate part is that which we lack, because that system needs an authority behind. We cannot cross any law of the land, because we know if I violate a law of a land, there are sanctions which will be imposed. But here there's a law system. We don't have such mechanism that if you say there must be some criterion, as was before, that no one was allowed. However, in Malaysia, alhamdulillah, one thing is there may be now, but one thing is good that you need to get a tawliya before you become a public speaker. You need to get a tawliya. You must qualify certain criteria. So they are also, as long as they are satisfied that yes, you qualify the criterion, then you're able to speak. Now, this hardly matters that whether the criterion is good or not, but still the mechanism is there that is put in place, and we need that mechanism to be substantiated at a higher level. I do agree with this, but unfortunate part is that now with the introduction of the social media, now everybody has access to it. Now you can float anything. Uh, so it's uncontrollable right now. Maybe in future, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide us an opportunity or a system that we will have a censorship, that only authentic and expertise will talk on the subjects. But right now, it is very difficult. I remember the saying of Sayyidina Abdullah bin Masud radhiyallahu anhu. He was teaching the students and he said, today you have kathirul fuqaha wa qalilul khutaba. Today you have a lot of scholars, a few speakers, a lot of scholars, but a few speakers. But a time is going to come. Kathirul khutaba wa qalilul fuqaha. A lot of speakers, but a few scholars. And I think this is the right time to apply that particular saying. We have a lot of speakers, but a few, and it is these speakers who create all these confusions. Otherwise, ilm is to remove the confusion, not to create the confusion. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanallah bihamdi, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta.
Thank you.